Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. We're super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Well, guys, spring is upon us. It's warming up. Grass is turning green. I'm getting close to my renovation project. Overall, getting some great pictures from folks across the country. And it is definitely go time. It's a great time of year to be into lawn care because it's the beginning really of the season. You know, last month it started, but now as we're really going, we're about a few days from April. So yeah, it's definitely go time pretty much all across the nation. So as always, we're coming to you guys on YouTube as our main platform, but you can also get the show on Instagram, Meta, and also Twitter. So whichever way works better for you, feel free to participate. We really do appreciate all of the support. It really does help out quite a bit. So let's see what we have in the show this evening. Let's get rolling right away. We got Mr. Hayes saying, he says, "Hey Ron, and everyone, I have a fescue lawn. I have moss on the north side of the house. What is the best product to use to get rid of moss on a fescue lawn? Thanks." Okay, so great question, Mr. Hayes. When it comes to questions like this, the thing I always do is first trying to help you to understand, like, what is it that's actually causing the moss to be a problem in the first place? Because while there are products you can use for addressing moss, unless we get rid of or correct the conditions that are causing the moss to be a problem in the first place, it's just going to come back. So typically what you find is if you have soil that is more on the acidic side, that is more attractive for moss growth. If you have areas that are heavily shaded, and also areas that don't drain well. So if you have parts of your lawn, it sounds like the north side of your house, that doesn't get a lot of sunlight, a lot of rainfall, and just when it does rain, it just stays damp and moist. that is going to contribute to the conditions that can cause moss to be a problem. So while you can use products to get rid of it, it's one of these things you're going to continually be chasing your tail. Now, for some people, I'm not sure if this is your case, when it comes to like late winter, early spring, it tends to be more of a problem. And then as you get into the hotter parts of the year, the moss issues tend to subside. So if that's you, then yeah, I mean, taking a product in like Moss X and using that to clean things up can be a way to go. But I would encourage you to look at one of those three, again, soil pH, shade, and then also drainage. Of those three, the pH and the drainage are probably the easier to fix. And if you correct that, then it's going to make it more difficult for moss to be a problem in your lawn. So the product I would say you could use once you've addressed those problems is a product that's designed for algae moss from Scott's. And I'll link it here in the chat for you. But that is what I would roll with to get rid of it once you've corrected the conditions that are causing it to be a problem in the first place. All right. Great question. Hopefully this is useful for you. And again, the big thing when it comes to lawn care problems, you want to identify like why is like what is it about the conditions that are causing this to be an issue in the first place is what I would say. All right. Great question. I like it. I like it. Sure, other folks will have that. And, it's a good one to start us off for the show this evening. So, guys, here's the thing. As far as the lawn care project is going, the lawn is beginning to die off. Actually, I can show you guys some video of it. I've got this going on. Hang on, before I do that, let me make sure I take care of business here. Archie Amos has sent in a Cash App. We don't have super chats, at least for the time being. So we have our Cash App account, and Archie Amos has contributed to that. So therefore, he is our show sponsor. So there you go, Archie, your name in lights for whatever that means to you. Really do appreciate it. So I wanted to show you guys how the lawn is coming along as far as the front lawn goes. For any of you guys that are new, I am doing a renovation of just the front lawn. It's funny, I released that video about going from Bermuda to Zoysia, and most people figured that it was something that was going to happen across the entire lawn, which I may be crazy, but I'm not that crazy. So it's just the front lawn, around 2,500 square feet, and it's been hit with a combination of glyphosate and Fusilade, which is a pretty potent combo. You can actually see here how the front lawn is dying off. So this is a video that I took this morning. I was walking over the lawn. In a second here, I'll show you a picture contrasting the side lawn, like the vanity strip that you guys always see, and the rest of it, but you can see how crispy it is. It is definitely beginning to accelerate as far as it dying off, which is what you want. I still got some green here near the sidewalk that you can see. I'm kind of pointing that out, that you still got a little bit of green there, but even that is yellowing and beginning to really begin hating life. As we go up here, this part of the lawn gets more sunlight, so the grass grows a bit more aggressively, so you can see the herbicide is having more effect there than other parts, but overall, pretty happy with this. Overall, the lawn is dying off nicely. We're in a good spot. Again, next week is when the actual renovation starts. The team is coming out to remove all this. You can see in the background, look at the front lawn, and then compare this to that in the background. You can see the differences between color, like where it would normally be if it were not hit with glyphosate, and where it is because of that. So it's a pretty big difference as far as how the lawn is doing. Another picture here to show really quick. I think I've got one here. Yeah, to show again the left side undisturbed is getting the normal golf course lawn treatment, biostimulants, fertilizer. The right side, glyphosate and Fusilade. So pretty big difference as far as how the lawn is looking. So I'll show you guys how the back lawn's coming along here a little bit later in the show, but wanted to at least show you guys like where we are as far as the project goes. So should be fun. Should be a lot of fun. All right, next question or comment we have up here is Victor Z. Says, Ron, what do you apply to help with rust on reels? I use WD-40. Some folks will use like cooking oil. I've seen people use like Pam, like spray aerosolized cooking oil on reels. I like WD-40 because like what it's designed to do is to keep water away, helps disperse water, keeps pushes water away from whatever you sprayed on, which is great for helping to prevent rust. So that is what I use. A very light coat, or thin coat on the reel, and that works well for me. So hopefully that helps Victor Z. Next up, we have Notorious Zaz. This is a good question. He says, good evening, Ron. Hope you're doing well. In your opinion, does it take a full season or more to eliminate weeds fully like POA, even when spraying Spectacle Flow? I've had some breakthrough, but the turf is only 1 year old. Okay, so we can get our terminology together here first. So as far as fully eliminating weeds to where they're never an issue in your lawn, that's really never going to happen. What you're going to find is you're going to get to the point where you're going to have very little breakthrough, very little weeds to control. For example, when I spray Spectacle on my lawn, I will have, I mean, maybe POA in like 4 or 5 areas over the entire lawn, over like, almost 12,000 square feet. And largely that is where my lawn borders the neighbors. What you will find is as you take better care of the lawn, as your pre-emergent program gets more on point, you grow a healthier stand of turf grass, it does make it more difficult for weeds to establish. So yes, as time progresses, if you keep up with your spring and fall pre-emergence, you're going to find that weeds are less and less of an issue in your lawn. But as far as eliminating them altogether, it's just that's not really it's not possible. But the amount of work and effort that it would take just I don't think is really necessarily worth it. So what you will find with your lawn only being a year old, yeah, like you'll see some breakthrough this year. Next year it's going to be less, and then the subsequent years it'll be even less. So the things you can do in between pre-emergent, remember that's just a tool to help us make it more difficult for weeds to grow. But in between pre-emergent applications, between spring and fall, what you want to focus on is feeding the lawn properly, so getting a good nutrient program based on soil testing to help really grow a healthy stand of turf grass, because that makes it so much more difficult for weeds to become a problem in the first place. Even if the lawn has seed heads or seeds that grow in or blown into the lawn, it's just so much more difficult for them to grow because you have this really, really thick and vibrant lawn that is just the dominant plant on your property, right? So that's really your goal. So hope that helps. I mean, it is definitely a process. I mean, I'll tell you that over the years, my lawn has gotten better and better, and it's just a time thing. So what you're experiencing, especially with it being just 1 year, sounds exactly as it should be. So I really wouldn't worry about it. Spectacle is an excellent product, and again, as you use it more frequently again each fall, you're going to find that you're going to have less and less issues with POA annua. What you might do is this fall is instead of, I'm not sure how you use it, but instead of applying just one application, consider doing 2. So do one in like September timeframe, and then do another one between November to December, and that's gonna help extend the coverage and help you get better control of POA annua, to where when you get into February, early March timeframe, you're not going to have nearly as much breakthrough as if you only did one app, or if you didn't use pre-emergent at all. Okay. All right, next up we got Mr. Jackie Bear saying, "Evening, Brother Ron." What's going on, Jackie Bear? Hopefully you're doing all right, sir. Hopefully the shoulder has healed. I know you had some issues there, so hopefully that is doing better for you, sir. And then next up we have Mace. Mace, he says, "Good evening, Ron and other aspiring and fledgling agronomists. When you think about it, Ron is doing exactly what he's born to do." Agronomist. A coincidence? I think not. That's pretty good. I like that. Cool. Yeah, man. But next up, we got Aaron Pate. He says, "Hey, Ron, after laying down new sod, how soon can I do a core aeration?" Great question. So it really depends on how quickly the lawn roots in. So I'd say if you lay the sod, you start mowing it, it's rooted in, all the lines, like where the sod is butt together, have been like they've grown through that. I'd say a couple of months later, that would be safe. What you don't want to do is go out and put fresh sod down, and then, a few weeks later, run a core aerator on it and potentially pull up sod that is trying to root. So if you can grab it and tug on it and it's not really going anywhere, and again, you're regularly mowing it and it looks like one like complete cohesive lawn, like you can't really see the lines anymore, that's a good indicator that, if you go and run a core aerator on it, you're likely going to be okay. So I would give it a good month or so after you can't really tell that the lawn was recently sodded before I would consider core aeration. So hopefully that helps, Aaron. It's a great question. Core aeration's got a ton of benefits, but you definitely want to be careful with doing that on a new lawn, because you don't want to undo a lot of the great work that you did as far as installing new sod. As far as how my plans for the Zoysia installation. So what's going to happen is next week, I think it's Tuesday, is when this is supposed to start. They're going to come in and dig up and cut all the existing Bermuda sod out, till the lawn and then scrape it again and try to get as much of the root from Bermuda out to prevent as much breakthrough as possible, and then go through doing leveling. I have a few bags of Super Sods compost coming, so that's going to get integrated into the soil. So it's going to be it should be a fun project as far as just getting as much of the Bermuda out as we can, and then adding that rich compost and then grading it to get it as smooth and flat as possible to give a good like foundation for installing the Zoysia. Then that will go down. The Zoysia will go down the following day. Then it'll get rolled, watered in, and then just giving it a couple of weeks to begin rooting in. And then once it begins rooting in, I'm going to put a mower on it. So as soon as I can begin mowing it, I plan to, because the goal is by summer to be able to top dress it. So it's going to be kind of cool, because from a standpoint of timing, it's a bit early in the season. Like if you wanted to go out and do a Zoysia lawn, you really would wait and have it be green. Like you install the Zoysia and have it be green and have it looking as absolute best when you installed it. You really would wait until like May, late May timeframe to be able to do that. But why I chose to do it earlier is, one, a lot of folks will sod their lawns at different times a year. And I figure that starting when the Zoysia is definitely greening up, like the sod we're going to put in is going to have some green to it. But showing how you can take a lawn that was sodded early in the spring, and just show the entire process of it, of it greening up, getting it established, mowing it, and then top dressing it, and showing how it can transform from a newly sodded lawn to the end of the season looking pretty spectacular. That's the goal. So that's the method to my madness of why we're doing it a little bit earlier in the season than perhaps most folks would have necessarily liked. But I think it's going to be a fun project. It's going to be fun for you guys to see, right? No one wants to see a lawn go in and have it be like just perfect, like from the get-go, right? You want to see some struggle, some heartbreak. You want to see the entire story, right? And then victory at the end when it looks awesome, right? So that is the plan. So it should be a good time. We'll see. If anything, it'll be entertaining for you guys to watch, right? At a minimum. Okay, next up we have Andrew Phillips. Andrew, I believe, is moving soon, but he is still gracing us with his presence on the live stream. He says, "Good evening, Ron and all. Happy Friday to all. Definitely seeing some green up in the past week. Rainy day here in Dallas, Texas. Looking forward to some golf course turf talk. Let's go." Yeah, man. So it's the weekend of April 1st. So I got a lot of stuff done. Actually, today I did a lot of my applications that I would normally do really Sunday. Sunday, we're supposed to get a lot of rain. So given that we are moving from March into April, it's a time for the insecticide application. So acetyloprin is what I applied. And I also did my my carbonized PNG app along with Humic Max 1608, and also sprayed the carbon kit. So today was pretty busy. It was pretty busy this afternoon. You guys can actually see the lawn. This was shot about a couple hours ago. I can actually show you guys comparing the front to the back. Let's see here. Yep, so that's the front lawn. And then let's go for a stroll. This is the back lawn. What's funny is you can see how sunlight makes a big difference. You see how on the left side, how it's green and the right side is less green. That left side is gets more sun because of the way the sun passes over the house. So like literally it's like angled towards the sun. So it's screened up more than the right side of that swale area. But overall, you can see after a fresh cut, the lawn is greening up nicely. This has already got carbonized PNG, Humic Max 1608, and the carbon kit was sprayed on it. So this has got the full Monty. The start of pretty much what I would apply on April 1st has been gone down today, mainly because we're going to be getting rain Sunday and also on April 1st. So instead of like not getting that done, I just got it all done today. Because plus tomorrow I'm also going to be busy doing some stuff with karate. So today it had to get done. But overall, not bad, right? Not bad for the end of March moving into April. I'm happy where it is. And yeah, overall, just looking forward to this season. Like how the lawn is coming in. All right, next up we got Mr. Jeff Hiroji. He says, "Hey, Ron, hello from Katy, Texas." My aunt lives near Katy, in just outside of Houston. She says, "I have hybrid Bermuda. I was planning to fertilize at the beginning of each month. How late can I fertilize? Last year, it was still pretty warm in October." Yes, a good question for this, Jeff, that I tell folks is, if you are still regularly mowing the lawn, you can feed it. Here in Georgia, I like to shut down granular fertilization like either in September at the latest October. Like I'll do a light application of like 12/0/24 in October, but not much later than that. You being in Houston, you guys are near the Gulf, and it's just warmer. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're still regularly mowing in October, maybe into November. So if you are still regularly mowing the lawn, you can still feed it. What I would not do though, what I would not do is falling into the trap of, it's getting late in the season, the lawn is starting to lose some of its color. Let me get out there and throw some nitrogen to try and push some more growth and try and keep it green for longer. I would not do that, because that's going to potentially create problems that can lead to disease issues in the following spring dead spot, and that type of thing. So if you're selectively mowing it, it's still, it's still growing well, then you can feed it. You can absolutely feed it. And you're going to have to be the judge of that. It's not, there's not one, one piece of recommendation that really works across the country. I can tell you where I live in Northeast Georgia, late September, early October is about when I shut down adding any more granular nitrogen inputs to my lawn. And that's really it until March of the following year. So hope that helps, sir. It's a great question. Again, you're going to have to know for yourself, but you still got an entire season to be able to figure that out. So hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. All right. All right, next up we got Mr. Archie Amos. He said, "Good evening, young man. Looking forward to a great show. I just cash apped for sponsorship." You did. And there you go, Archie. We got you up there right now. Your name in lights. We really do appreciate all the love and support. It does mean a lot. It does help out quite a bit. And next we have Jeff. He's back with another question. I like this question. This is a good one. He says, "I'm trying to figure out which insecticide / herbicide to use. Can I apply a Celiprin G for grubs, armyworms, and Headway G for lawn fungi?" Yeah, actually, yeah, you can, Jeff. That is what I do. So there's a couple different options, right? So you know what? Let's go for a ride. I'll explain to you the different approaches. Okay. So let's go for a ride to the Golf Lawn Store. We'll go over to shop and then fungicide, insecticide. All right. So for the first application of the season, right? So like this time of year, from moving from March into April, now is a good time to get your insecticide app down to help interrupt the life cycle of grubs to where they can cause damage to your lawn. So now's a great time for your grub control to go down. It's a touch early for fungus control unless you've got a history of disease issues in your lawn, but I wouldn't be mad at you if you decided you want to get your fungicide out around now too. So a couple of options. What you can do is you could use a product like Caravan G for your first application. This is a combination of insecticide and fungicide. Some folks like to do that because it's more cost effective than doing a Celiprin and Headway separately. However, I like the approach that you do. Like what you're discussing, Jeff, is what I personally do. I apply Headway now. Like today, I actually used the granular. I did Headway G. I put out Headway G today. And then next month in May, I will, I put out a Celiprin G today. And then next month in May, I will apply Headway G as my fungicide. So I like to separate them for a couple of reasons. One, the insecticide that's in a Celiprin is it's a better insecticide than what's in Caravan from a standpoint of that it controls more lawn damaging insects. So the insecticide that's in Caravan is pretty good against grubs. But if you're also looking to prevent armyworms, sod webworms, pretty much any kind of turf caterpillar, the chlorantraniliprole that's in a Celiprin is a better active ingredient in my opinion. From an environmental standpoint, it's also like better, like it's less harmful to earthworms, less harmful to pollinators. So far as an eco-friendly option, a Celiprin G is a superior insecticide in my opinion, which is why I use it for this time of year. And then next month, in May, is when I will do my first preventative fungicide app in the form of either Pillar SC, if for liquid, or Headway G if you prefer granular. So that's what you're talking about is exactly what I would do. I think you meant insecticide, fungicide. You said herbicide, but I know what you meant. But yeah, that is how I would go about it. So really, the negative to this approach is that it's more expensive because you're talking about two different products and the cost is going to be more. But if you're looking for a liquid option, going the liquid way, you could do a Celiprin SC, the suspension concentrate now, and then do Pillar SC a month from now in May and then again in June. If you're going the granular route, you could do Headway G now, and then you could do, you could do a Celiprin G now. I keep mixing the two up. Celiprin as your insecticide, and then Headway G as your fungicide in May. So it just really depends on what you like. As far as which is better, so if you're using them preventatively, either one will work well. If you are dealing with an active problem in your lawn, particularly a disease problem, I'm a fan of the liquid and Pillar SC more so than Headway because it just works a bit faster. They're both excellent products, but if you got an active disease problem in your lawn, I like Pillar more than Headway. But either way can really work. So hope that helps, Jeff. It's a good question. This really depends on your budget and and how much control you want over your applications, because Caravan G, really, in my opinion, you're going to want to use that just really once in the season, once per year. You do it now, and then you would not really do it again in, say, May, because even though it has azoxystrobin in it for a fungicide, you really don't want to double up on your insecticide app, right? So Caravan G could be your first input if you were looking for a more cost-effective way, and then the next application for fungicide, you would then switch to Headway. So a couple different ways to go about it. Really depends on you, but I do the Acelepryn Pillar SC or the Acelepryn Headway G route, depending on how I am feeling that month. Today I did Acelepryn G, which is because I was just out putting granular stuff out, and I had to water the lawn anyway, so I just went with that. So hopefully that helps, Jeff. You can decide for yourself, but either one is going to work well. All right. Next up, we have he says, great show as always. I appreciate it, Jeff. And then next up is Harper's Knitter says, hey Ron, this fungus spot, I can't live with this. I sent you another picture. Let's look what you're dealing with here. So thanks for the picture, Harper's Knitter. I'll put this up. Let me see here. So for everyone else to take a look at. Yes, I mean, I'm not sure what you're doing as far as Harper's, as far as insecticide, as far as fungicide to help prevent, to help clean up the problem. Here's the thing. It looks like you have cool season grass, and it very well could be that, you're moving now out of the cooler time of year, out of winter into springtime. So you may have had some damage from the winter. Talking to you, I believe you've told me that you've had a consistent issue with disease in this area. And I'm not really sure why, because looking at it from the picture, it doesn't look like that's really a low spot where water would pool or anything like that. So I'm not sure why you're actually having a problem there. As far as fungicides go, it'd be interesting to know what you've tried, what you've applied to the area, because that's going to be it. If you're certain what you've got there is a disease problem, fungicide is going to be the way to help stop whatever is going on and then allow the lawn to heal. That's a big thing to remember. When it comes to fungicide, if you have like a lawn that's got some damage from disease, right? So we'll look at your lawn here, right? Like when you go out and you apply a fungicide, it's not going to reverse that. Like fungicide isn't like fertilizer to where you can spray it on the lawn and then like a couple days, a week later, you're going to see a response and then everything is all green and looking awesome again. What it's going to do is arrest the spread. It's going to control the pathogen that's causing the damage to the plant, and then depending on how bad the damage was, then the lawn will be allowed to naturally heal. So as the lawn begins to continue growing and greening up, it's like you'll have some fresh growth and then the lawn will recover. So what I would say is if you've got a disease problem, apply fungicide. Whenever you're mowing the lawn, mow that area last, because what you would not want to do is mow that and then go potentially spread the problem around to other parts of the lawn. And then when you are done mowing, rinse the mower, like clean the mower. If you're using a rotary mower, like wash the deck to get any spores. Just keep it clean to where you're trying to do as much as possible to reduce spreading the problem around. Mowing is going to help, stimulate new growth, which will help the lawn recover faster from this once you've got the disease, the spread arrested with a fungicide. So sorry you're dealing with that. I would absolutely use fungicide to help to get things on the right track. And in your case, if this is something you've dealt with year after year, let's say every time we get into mid-March, you have this problem. In your case, you would want to get your fungicide out earlier than that. So the guidance we have on the Golf Course Lawn Store, where we recommend a preventative fungicide app in May and then another one in June. That really is if you don't have any history of disease in your lawn. If you've got an issue where you get, for example, for warm season grass, you get large patch in April, and every April it's a problem. What I would say is, like, mid-March, get fungicide out. Like, prior to the time when your lawn has a history of having that problem, get a fungicide out to help prevent the disease from manifesting itself this season. So it looks like you're a little bit behind the curve for this year, but for next year, I would say whatever historically you've had this issue, get your fungicide out ahead of that. So in many ways, I think, in my opinion, if you're doing it right, you are treating fungicide almost in many ways like how you treat pre-emergent. Like, how you use pre-emergent to help prevent weeds in your lawn, so it kind of limits your need for post-emergent herbicides to help prevent it after the fact. When you're really doing it right, using fungicides and insecticides very much the same way. Like, you're not going to wait until there's grub damage, like in your lawn, or armyworm damage in your lawn, to use an insecticide. By then it's too late. You don't want to wait until you're seeing like large patch or some other disease in your lawn. By then you can use the fungicide, but it's a little bit too late. Like, you're behind the curve. So every lawn is different. What I'd say is make notes of when this normally becomes a problem, and then a few weeks prior to when that normally is an issue, get your fungicide out, because that's going to help limit the damage in subsequent years. So hopefully that helps. I'm sorry you're dealing with this, but I mean, we're still early in the season, so the lawn has plenty of time to grow through it and recover. So hopefully that helps. All right, guys, as I move on to the next question, if you guys are getting some value out of this, be sure to hit that like button. We've got over 100 folks in the live stream right now, only 33 likes, at least on YouTube. So hit that like button. If you're on some of the other platforms, whatever engagement you guys have, hit that. It does a whole lot for sending good vibes to the algorithm and helping more folks come our way. So if you can do that, I would really, really appreciate it. And for any of you wondering what I'm drinking on tonight, it is a combination of Chick-fil-A lemonade and water. I figure it's the start of April. Got to break out the good stuff, right? All right, next up is D-Man 2082. He says, I just got some palmetto grass installed about a month ago. Green and beautiful here in Florida. When can I top it to level it off? So what I would do is, it's all about a month ago. When you are regularly mowing it and it looks like it's rooted in properly. So in other words, when the lawn no longer looks like it was just recently sodded, you're regularly mowing it, it's growing, it's established. Then if you want to get out there and do a top dress, I'd be fine with that. What I would tell you is go light on your top dressing. Don't get out there and smother the entire lawn in whatever material you happen to use. 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch is about where you want to be. What that works out to, from a material standpoint, is about 1 cubic yard of material over 1,000 square feet. If you do that, that's going to get you in that 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch range. And yeah, just go light and enjoy it. So again, it's only a month old, so it might be a bit early, but by the time we get into May, you very well could look at top dressing it, depending on how the lawn is doing, D-Man. So it's a good question. Hopefully you enjoy the new lawn. Get a soil test, feed it accordingly, mow it with sharp equipment, and it will treat you right. You know what I mean? Those are the keys to having a great lawn. So appreciate the question. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Let's see here. Let me save that question for other folks as well. All right. Next up is Jimmy Miller. He says, evening, Ron. I sent you an email earlier and then now shows how far your lawn has come. Let me see if I have anything from you, Jimmy. I don't have, I've got a soil test, but I don't have any pictures from you, Jimmy. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, here's the thing, guys, if you send me pictures, you can't send them, they can't be ginormous. So make them, if you can, I guess 1,200 pixels wide. That's a good size for YouTube. But yeah, I don't have anything from you other than like a soil test that you sent, looks like. Okay, next up is Ant Live. He says, hey, Ron, you state to use the 14-7-14 fertilizer on my backyard due to my soil test. I wanted to know, do I use the 1608 fertilizer the rest of the spring and summer? So yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head how low your phosphorus levels were, Ant. what I would say is this. If you did a couple of applications, so let's say in March you did the 14.7.14, also in April coming up here you did that. What you might do is the end of let's say this, the end of May, so you've been 3 months using that fertilizer, you could do a soil test then and see where the phosphorus levels have moved. And at that point, if they've moved into the adequate or the optimal zone, then you could switch to the 1608. If your phosphorus levels are very, very low, you might run that all season. There are people that last year did that sent me soil test and their phosphorus levels were super low. They ran the 14.7.14 all year. And then in the fall, they saw a measured improvement. So it really depends on how far away from optimal you were. I don't remember off the top of my head where your levels were. So I guess what I'm saying is if you were just under that, you could run it for a few months and then switch. If you are very low, you could run it all season long. There's people that do that and there's really no issue with it. So really, as far as your primary fertilizer for feeding the lawn throughout the season, it can be the 14.7.14 if you have low phosphorus levels. If you got adequate, then you could use the 1608. Either one will work, and your soil test results are really what are going to drive that. So hopefully that helps. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to ping me, but I think hopefully that gets you in a good spot. All right, Tom Hoffman Camp says, happy Friday, y'all. Close enough to the first. Let's drop some Humic Max 1608. I did it today. Today, I'll tell you, today was a busy day. It was carbonized PNG, Humic Max 1608, Acelepryn G, and then the Release Zero Carbon Kit and 22.3 fertilizer. So pretty much the April 1st, I'll actually show you guys. If you look at our calendar, so if you go to resources and the lawn care schedule and go to monthly application schedule, and you go to the month of April, you would see that April is when you would do your spring insecticide app. So either Acelepryn SC or Acelepryn G. I opted for Acelepryn G this time around. And I'm not core aerated yet, but as far as fertilizer, I went with Humic Max 1608 at the 3 pound per thousand rate, the same rate that I have that's listed here. And then also the carbon kit application. So it was a Release Zero Carbon Kit paired with this fertilizer, with the 22.3 fertilizer. So this guy at 6 ounces per thousand. Everything else in the carbon kit is 3 ounces per thousand. If you guys want to see, you're saying, man, this just seems like, he was doing a lot of stuff. We don't even know what went down. I actually did a quick short showing all of it, or showing how, at least from the liquid standpoint, like what I did, explaining the rates. So if you are so inclined, you can look at this video right here that shows what I sprayed today and the rates that I used when spraying it, in case you want to do the same thing. So I'll actually put that in the chat on all platforms so you guys can see it. What Ron did to start April, in case you care. If you don't care, you can ignore it. If you do care, you can watch it. All right. Okay. Moving on, we now have Cobra Venoms. Cobra Venoms, kind of a cool name. He says, hello, Henry. Do you know of a product you can put along your walkways to build up your grass height? Some areas, due to rain and previous owners' neglection, are below the cement line. You can use top dressing to do that, Cobra Venom. So if you top dress the lawn with sand, with a combination of sand and compost, that will raise the height that the grass grows at a little bit. I mean, it's going to take a while to do that. Normally, it's at 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch increments. So if you're way below the cement, like if you're 2 inches, 3 inches below the cement, might not be the fastest way to do it. You may want to, cut the sod, lift it, and then put some material under there to help build the level up. But you can do it with top dressing. You can just do it. It'll just take a while. It'll just take several rounds to slowly get the grass to grow at a higher and higher level as you add material. So depends on how far beneath the driveway level you are. Not really a product, as more as a process. So what you'll want to use is a combination of sand, of a screen sand, and either compost or soil. What I like is a 70-30 blend, because in your case, you're trying to create structure, right? You're trying to help like raise the level and not have that erode as you have rainfall. So sand is really good for that. So 70% sand, 30% of either compost or screen topsoil is going to be a good option. That's going to help bring things up. And as far as what that process could look like, I'll send you a video really quick. I got lots of videos online on YouTube on leveling, but as far as like fixing small areas, like small ruts or bumpy areas of your lawn, this video is by far our most popular. So I'll link it here in the chat for you, and hopefully you get some value out of it. How to fix a bumpy lawn. All right. The big thing I tell you is that just take your time. Like, don't try and get too aggressive right away. Don't go and try and put down 2-3 inches of material at once, because that's going to do more harm than good. Just know that you can just build it up over time as you top dress and get the grass to grow through. All right, my son is up next. He says, "What's up, Ron? Hook us up with some grass seed. I was excited you had seed in the store, but it's only for cool season lawns." Yeah, so yeah, great point, my son. So yeah, something new that we are carrying on the golf course lawn store. You guys have been asking for it for a while, and we finally were able to get the ability to carry some. So if you go to shop, and then it's under soil test kits and pH adjustments. I'm going to redo the menus here in a little bit, but we have a couple of options for grass seed. You've got, you have a tall fescue grass seed, which is a combination of 3 blends, 3 different types of turf type tall fescue, and then a blend of Kentucky bluegrass and ryegrass, which is a 5-way blend. So you've got, for cool season grass, you're good, for both fescue and a combination of perennial rye and KBG. So Mizon, yeah, as far as grass seed for Bermuda lawns, you know, I've had the opportunity to carry some of that, and I'm a bit hesitant to do so, and I'll tell you why. The way that people use grass seed on cool season lawns to help fix, you know, bare areas or areas that have been damaged by winter kill is completely an appropriate way of correcting those types of problems in cool season turf grass, right? Because it doesn't spread like Zoysia or Bermuda grass does. If you had a tall fescue lawn, you lose some of it due to, you know, winter damage, then yes, using seed to help fix that is really the way to do it. With warm season turf grass, like your Bermuda or Zoysia, particularly with Bermuda grass, like if you have a hybrid lawn and you've got some areas that were damaged or you've got some wear, really grass seed is not the way to fix that, because the grass seed that is available for Bermuda grass is it's normally an improved common Bermuda, which looks very visually different to hybrid Bermuda grass. Like most hybrid Bermuda grass, it's a finer leaf. You can argue the color is typically a bit darker, whereas with a common Bermuda or an improved common, the leaf blade tends to be thicker. The color, in my opinion, and for a lot of the cultivars, tends to be a little bit lighter. Now there are some where the color is darker, but the thickness of the leaf blade is a pretty big difference between common and hybrid Bermuda. Also, the growth rate is different. So if you ever have a common Bermuda and a hybrid lawn, you'll find the common Bermuda tends to grow quite a bit faster. So it tends to stick out. You'll see like some lime green patches throughout the lawn. And the problem is that once you introduce common Bermuda grass to a hybrid Bermuda lawn, there's really no way to selectively get rid of it. So for most people, unless you are doing a renovation, like you're killing off your lawn and you're establishing a new lawn from scratch, you really don't want to use Bermuda grass seed on a hybrid Bermuda lawn, because you're just going to create a mess that's really difficult, or I'd almost say impossible to fix without like a full renovation. So for that reason, I don't really, I've been hesitant about carrying Bermuda grass seed, because I don't want to encourage people to fix a problem, in my opinion, that is in a way that's going to cause they're going to regret in the end, right? Whereas cool season grass seed, you know, for cool season lawns, that's that overseeding, and that's completely a legitimate way of fixing issues. If you have a Bermuda lawn and you want to overseed in the fall with ryegrass to get it to say green all winter, that's also an option. But warm season grass seed, I'm not carrying it, mainly for that reason. Because I don't believe I've done a good enough job on the education aspect of it, that you really don't want to use improved common Bermuda in a hybrid lawn. And I would hate to have a bunch of people go out and buy grass seed, you know, spread over their Chick-fil-A 419 lawn and then have a mess and then be irritated about it, right? Because there's not really an easy way to fix it once it's done. So that's the reasoning why, in case you care to know. All right, so next up is Ninos Yokana. He says, "Hello at Ron and everyone. Already passed my big lake." Cool. Okay, thanks so much, Nino. So I appreciate you coming by to say hey. If you need anything, let me know. And then next up is Toucan Sam. He says, Do you plan on doing the whole yard in Zoysia or just the front? Now, Toucan Sam, let your heart not be troubled. I am not going to do the entire lawn. And that was one thing. I rewatched the video I did on Bermuda to Zoysia, and I didn't really say, that was one thing I was obviously an oversight on my part, even though I've said it verbally tons of times in the live stream, that it's only going to be the front lawn. Like most people said, oh my God, why are you going to go and ruin your entire lawn? You can do the entire thing with Zoysia. Like, why are you doing that? So it's just the front lawn, just the sloped part. You know what? Just right here, just what you see right here, just this, just that, the front lawn right there, and the area between the sidewalk and the street, like that little patch, the vanity strip between the sidewalk and the street and the front lawn, this sloped area here, that is what is going to get turned into Zoysia. It is just that. It is not the entire lawn. I am not that brave. That's a whole lot of work. And plus, I like the back lawn. I like the Bermuda grass lawn. It's kind of cool to have. It'll be cool to have both. So on the front will be nice. Zoysia requires less mowing, less maintenance. So it could be a cool grass to have on the front, right? So maybe I'll be able to mow the back lawn, 2 or 3 times for every time I have to mow the front. We shall see. But that's the idea behind it. It is just the front lawn and the vanity strip in front of the front lawn, just those areas. About 25, really around 2,400 square feet, but I say 2,500 square feet just to make the math easy. But yeah, that is what's happening. It's just the front, not the whole thing. Don't worry. The back lawn is not going to Zoysia. All right. Next up is Cobra Venom. It says, I've seen some Vigro product, but it either has tabs bottom. I don't know what I need. I'm almost tempted to do wood, charcoal, cardboard. Yeah, don't do that. Don't put wood or card. Don't put anything other than soil or some blend of soil and sand. Don't do like bark or anything like that. You will absolutely regret that. So what I explained to you as far as either using like a combination of sand and compost or a combination of sand and topsoil, like that is how I would go about it. I would not use wood, cardboard, anything, plywood, anything like that. That is the wrong way to fix a low spot in your lawn. That would be I mean, if I had a stamp for doing it wrong, that is doing it wrong. Don't do it that way. All right. All right. Next up is Nino. Says, hello, Ron and everyone. I'm here with my big lake. Weather is getting better here in Chicago, doing some apps this weekend. Oh, cool. So hopefully your lawn dries out to be able to work on it. But yeah, man, enjoy the rainfall while you have it, man. Because a few months from now it's going to be hot and the lawn's going to be struggling and you're going to be wishing for rain. So enjoy it. Enjoy the moisture while you got it. Like this weekend, Sunday and Monday, we're supposed to have rain. It's an 80% chance of rain. So in Georgia, that probably means it won't rain at all. We'll see, right? Let's hope. And then next up is Adam Stark. Says, wow, major difference. Hypothetical question. What if you fall in love with Zoysia? Like in love. Would you do the backyard in Zoysia as well? By the way, I hit the like button. No, I don't think so, man. It's just, first of all, do you have any idea how much work it would be to, I'm thinking fast forward this, how much work it would be to change like this into all Zoysia? I mean, you're talking about another 10,000 square feet or so of lawn that would have to be killed off, scraped out, sodded, then several rounds of top dressing. It's just, plus I like Bermuda grass. I mean, the big thing is I wanted to have both. I really like the Bermuda back here. Whenever a company comes over and they're out, the kids are out on the lawn, playing on the lawn, or we're doing fireworks, whatever, Bermuda's really great for that. So for a lawn you're going to use a lot, Bermuda's really what you want, right? I mean, it recovers from injury. As far as disease issues go, I mean, you may have some large patch. Dollar spot normally isn't a problem. Maybe some spring dead spot. There's not like Bermuda is fairly resistant from a disease standpoint too. So it's a great type of grass. And then when we get into the May time frame, like that, like right now it doesn't look awesome, but a month, 6 weeks from now, it's gonna be looking like it's gonna be a thing of beauty. So there's no reason for me to really do the back lawn. I think just having the front lawn isolated with Zoysia and having the back lawn Bermuda, I think that's going to be a good way to go about it. I have no plans to do the entire lawn in Zoysia. I think there's benefits to having both, right? It'll be good for content, and I have no desire to redo the entire property in Zoysia. Plus, another thing to consider too, Adam, is like my back lawn borders 1, 2, 4 other lawns. So if I were to do Zoysia, like Zoysia is going to be touching all those lawns, and it's going to begin. I either have Bermudas creeping in, or my Zoysia is going to be spreading out. So it's going to kind of be a bit of a mess to kind of keep it contained. Whereas on the front lawn, like 3 sides of the front lawn are surrounded by concrete, and there is just one strip that's probably 15 feet long that touches my neighbor's Bermuda, which is pretty easy for me to manage that and keep, the Bermuda where it needs to be and the Zoysia where it needs to be. And then the vanity strip, again, surrounded by sidewalk and street, so it's pretty easy to keep it contained. So that's a big part of why I chose that area, because it's going to be, as much as possible, easy to isolate it and keep it just in that spot, not have to worry about it either spreading all over the place or having Bermuda spread into it. So that is, those are my thoughts. That's the method to my madness as far as why I chose just the front lawn and why I'm not doing the rest of it. All right, Claude Thompson is up next. He says, hello, Ron, and happy Friday to all. I have cool season lawn here in Connect I Cut, and temps have been up and down for the last 2 weeks with the night temps in the low 30s. When would you suggest starting to apply the carbon kit, Lebanon Toast Humic Max, and also Celiprin SC? Thanks. Yeah, so as far as that goes, Claude, when it comes to fertilizing, it's a bit too early in your case. When you start regularly mowing it, when temps are consistently in the 50s or warmer, that's when it would be a good time to start introducing granular fertilizer. But let when you start regularly mowing it be your guide. So for example, I started mowing my lawn in earlier this month in March. So I went out and applied my 12024 fertilizer along with the 901C carbon kit, and that was good for me. In your case, because you're further north and you're still getting some pretty wild temperature swings, it might be a bit early for a granular fertilizer application. As far as a Celiprin SC, that you could get out. Like if you're not going to have any more, you don't expect any more frost, you could get it out the first part of April. Between April 1st through the 15th, somewhere in there would be fine for getting your insecticide out. But for granular fertilizer, I'd want you to be mowing the lawn before you start introducing that. And it's only a couple of weeks. Like you guys are only going to be a couple of weeks behind us. So whereas, I did Humic Max and my granular biostimulant carbonized PNG today, you might be mid-April and you're going to be on the same cycle. So you're not that far behind, believe it or not. So hopefully that helps, sir. It's a great question. And again, you're going to be out there mowing and feeding the lawn and living your best life here sooner than you know it. Appreciate the question from Connecticut. All right. Louis P86 is up next. He says, hey, Ron, serious question. I mean, I hope it's a serious question. I mean, hope we don't take any non-serious questions on the show, other than if Georgia's going to lose to Alabama. That's obviously a non-serious question. He says, is it okay to apply Celsius, carbonized PNG, and the 12024 on the same day? Thanks for all you do. Yeah, you could do that. So if you were going to do that, let's say you're going to put out your biostimulant, carbonized PNG, fertilizer, and you're also going to say spot spray for weeds. The order that I would do it would be carbonized PNG. I would do the granular fertilizer 12024 after that. And then if you wanted to spot spray with Celsius, you could then do it after doing all that. Reason being is anytime you're applying any of the sides, fungicide, insecticide, herbicide, I tend to leave those for last. So in my case today, I did carbonized PNG, 12024, and then after I did my spray, I went out and did a Celiprin G last, right? So I don't want to be walking around the lawn after putting out insecticide or herbicide or whatever. But the thing I would tell you though is if you're going to do them all on the same day, so say tomorrow you decide to do this, what I would do is you can apply them all tomorrow. I would wait until the following day before you water though, because with Celsius, because it is absorbed via foliar uptake, you would not want to go out and go spray the weeds with Celsius and then go water the lawn right after that. So if you can give it a full, really just a few hours, but really if you give it a full day to dry, and be absorbed, and then the following day you run an irrigation cycle to water in the carbonized PNG and 12024, like that would be okay. So you can do them all on the same day if you really want to. I would just wait before you watered because you want to allow the herbicide enough time to be absorbed by the weeds that you are targeting. So great question. Hopefully that helps, sir. And if you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. It's a good one. All right. Okay, next up is Mr. J. Riviera. He says, hey, Ron, in New Jersey, weather has been a roller coaster with few windows to make certain applications due to inconsistent soil temperatures. Okay. He says, based on my soil test results, I need to apply nitrogen, raise pH, potassium, sulfur, iron, and also need to apply pre-emergent. Any suggestion as to in which order to tackle these apps? Yeah, so as far as raising your pH, you're going to use lime to do that. For your pre-emergent, as long as you're not going to get frost, like the ground's not going to freeze, getting your pre-emergent out a bit early, there's really nothing wrong with that. So you want pre-emergent applied and in the soil before the average 5-day soil temps are in the mid 50s. I'm not sure where in the country you are. Oh, New Jersey. You said New Jersey. So yeah, I mean, you're seeing a lot of weather swings. Let me see, what's the temperature like in New Jersey? What's it? I mean, to say what city, but we'll see in Jersey. What's a good city in New Jersey? Let's do Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Reason why I know Cherry Hill, because that, believe it or not, that's the first place I ever saw snow in real life with my real eyes when I used to travel a lot. The first time I ever saw snow for real was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, so I'll never forget it. All right, so look into the temperatures in Cherry Hill. The 10-day, it looks like the lows are in the 50s, low 60s, low 40. One day on Tuesday in the 36, but then you're in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So yeah, so your pre-emergent, I would not be mad at you if you got that out. Like, I would get your pre-emergent out. You can also get your lime application done as well. So those two things I would absolutely do. Get your lime application done to help raise the soil pH, and then your pre-emergent as well. I would do that as well. As far as your fertilizer, I mean, you got to be close too, man. I mean, the temperatures are such that your grass really should be growing. So even though you're having the temperature swings, if the grass is beginning to green up nicely and you're starting to mow it, I wouldn't be opposed to you going out and doing your fertilizer apps to get the N, potassium and sulfur and iron levels up. So you can definitely do, like, if you have the stuff to do it tomorrow, pre-emergent and lime, I would absolutely do that. Nitrogen, like the fertilizer, you're gonna have to determine based on whether, like, how the lawn's looking, whether you're regularly mowing it, if it's now time for you to do those. I'm of the opinion that you're probably gonna be fine to do those as well too. What you might do is this though, is I don't know what you're using for nitrogen, but if you can go with a lower nitrogen fertilizer, or at least fertilizer that has some slower release nitrogen to start the season, like an option is like R12024. That's a great choice. So if you go to shop and lawn fertilizer, this guy here is a great fertilizer to start the season out with. Again, it's got 12% nitrogen. A good percentage of it is slow release, so you're not going to be trying to push too much growth early here in the season. And it has some iron in it. It's got some sulfur in it. It's got some potassium in it. So as far as what you're looking, it looks like this would be a pretty good fit. It has some iron as well. So this guy would actually address everything that you've got listed there. So yeah, Jay, you've got to be pretty close, in my opinion, to being able to apply fertilizer. You're definitely good to get pre-emergent and your lime application done. Like, I would absolutely do that. So hope that helps, sir. Great question. If you're looking for the 12024, assuming you don't already have a fertilizer, I'll link it here in the chat for you. That is a great choice to start the season out with. It's what I used on my lawn to get things going. All right, next up we have Dude, not bro, but Dude. He says, hey, Ron, I live in Ackworth, Georgia, and I have Bermuda grass. You know what? I like you already. I got busy this year and missed the pre-emergent window. There must be a point deduction for that. Can I put it down together with a fertilizer this weekend before the rain next week? Yes, you can. It's still, while you are a bit late, in my opinion, on your pre-emergent app, you can still absolutely do it. It's better to get it down now than not at all. And yeah, with the rain we're supposed to have here Sunday and Monday, why not take advantage of the free water to get it moved into the soil? So yes, you could absolutely do that. I would apply your pre-emergent and I would apply your fertilizer. Sounds like a great time to do it, assuming you've already got them, because we're gonna get rainfall. So good stuff, man. Next up is Jose HNH coming in from Instagram. He says, I'm in Oklahoma City and we have red clay soil. I'm in the process of scalping. What's something I can put down to help the lawn? So it depends on what you define as help. So if you're looking to improve the nutrient holding capacity of the soil, help with water retention, and overall just stimulate more microbial activity, just help the engine of the soil to work better, a good product that you can apply on pretty much any soil is carbonized PNG. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, this is what I would say if you're looking to improve soil quality, great option. It's a combination of compost, biochar, and there's also a microbial package in there as well. This is what I would do if you're trying to improve your clay soil. So hopefully that helps, Jose. The only other things I'd say is, as far as nutrient levels go, it's difficult to know like what fertilizer makes sense for your particular lawn without soil test data. So if you want to get like a soil test, can do that. That's going to then give us the information to know like what nutrient deficiencies, if any, there are in your soil. And then we can formulate a program for like what fertilizer makes the most sense for your particular lawn. But, barring that, something you can do now is a product like carbonized PNG. So I'll link that here in the chat. I'm not sure it's going to work well on Instagram, but we can give it a go. But you can find it on the golf course lawn store. If you go just there and just search for carbonized PNG, you'll find it, or go to shop and lawn fertilizer, and it's also there as well. So it just depends on which way you want to go about it, sir. Whichever way you want to go about it. You need to tell us the story though, man. You said you're doing some scalping, getting ready. I guess so. You're getting the lawn ready for the season. I like it. Next up we have Matt Jackson. He says, I have a McLean 25-inch coming in next week. I'm excited. You know what? Here's the thing, Matt. Normally you already have to have the mower. We have to see a picture of it. But in this case, we're going to make an exception because you get some new equipment coming in. We'll clap it up. We give you some DAP for the new equipment. Congrats on the new mower. But you got to show us a picture at some point. Like once you get it and you're all happy with it, make sure you get a good quarter turn shot in front of the lawn, good picture down the level, show the roller off really nicely. Make sure the picture looks good, and we'll show everybody your new kit. All right. Let's see. Next we have a Jeezy 2318. He says, hello, Ron. I'm helping my neighbor control their weeds, which is also helping you control your weeds, right? So it's like you're helping them help you. He says, should I spray post-emergent to kill the current weeds, wait a few days, and put down prodiamine so they don't come back? Thanks. Yes and no. It doesn't really work like that. So you could apply prodiamine now if you wanted to. You want to get that applied, get that watered in, and that's going to help prevent weeds, reduce the amount of weeds you're going to deal with growing forward. For your post-emergent herbicide, you can do that now as well too. So really, if you had, let's say like a Thanos snap, and you've got prodiamine, and you've also got like your herbicide of choice that you're going to use to clean up your neighbor's lawn, you could go out and put down the prodiamine like at first, and then you could go and spot spray or spray the areas that have weeds with a post-emergent herbicide, wait a day or two, and then water the prodiamine in, and then you're good to go. You could do them literally on the same day because they work at different points of the weed's life cycle. Like pre-emergent, or most pre-emergents, are not going to have very much effect on currently growing weeds. So for that reason, it's in your best interest to get the pre-emergent applied now, and then use your post-emergent herbicides to control the existing weeds. And following that approach, yes, you are going to see a reduction of weeds in your lawn going forward. It's not going to be magic. It's not like you apply prodiamine, say tomorrow, Saturday, March 29th, and then from March 29th forward, there shall be no more weeds in your lawn. But what you'll see is that once you apply it, water it in, you're going to see a lot less weeds growing in versus if had you not used a pre-emergent. So hope that helps. AGZ 2318, nice of you to help your neighbor out. But yeah, there's no need to wait. I would go ahead and get your pre-emergent out, and then you can also clean up the existing weeds with the post-emergent herbicide that you happen to be using. So hope that helps. All right, Matt Jackson says, Ron, I'm that guy with the Zoysia in Austin, Texas. So you and me are about to become buddies, right? So here's the thing, it's funny. Like all the Zoysia folks are, I think I'm gonna get a bunch of new friends now that I'm gonna have a patch of Zoysia. Now, one thing I'm gonna tell you guys, it's only gonna be one small area. Don't you guys start getting all bougie and be like, oh, you know, yeah, he got Zoysia now, he got some real grass now. Because I know you guys kind of turn up your nose at me because I got Bermuda grass, and even though I think it's a very nice stand of Bermuda grass, Zoysia folks do tend to think, among warm season people, the Zoysia folks they're special. They do think that they're like a cut above the rest of us a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna get some Zoysia. I'll see if I start speaking more of a British accent. Maybe, I'll start mowing the lawn in like a blazer. We'll see. It's more like Zoysia type stuff. So we'll see, Matt Jackson. I appreciate that. I'm gonna have some Zoysia, so we'll be brothers in that sense going forward. So I'll see how much I like it, or if I just want Bermuda back. We shall see. Tank Texas says, love the content. Thank you for all your knowledge. Here in Crowley, Texas, my grass is greening up. I'm excited. Nice. Very nice, Tank. I'm glad to hear your lawn is greening up. That's what we want to hear this time of year. It should be. And then next we got Stephen Thompson. He says, last year, this time I had fungus in the back lawn. 15 yards last summer has helped with the back portion so much. Triple 12, 7 bug killer, and Essential G down the day before 1 inch of rain. Great start. I like it. So sounds like you're getting ahead on disease control. You did some top dressing last year. You did some fertilization with some relatively low nitrogen. I like that to start the season. So overall, you're doing it right, Stephen. You're starting off on a higher rung on the ladder from where you were last year. So I'm not surprised that the lawn is doing better. So keep us posted. Keep us posted as far as how well it does. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Like the stream and everyone else. All right. Next up is Jimmy Miller. He has a question about heights of cut. He says, Ron, I scalped at 1/2 inch once the grass starts growing. What height should I start mowing at so as to encourage it to thicken up? Continue at 1/2 inch, 5/8, or start at 3/4 of an inch? So it really depends on how much time you have, Jimmy. So while you scalped at 1/2 inch, if you want to keep it at 1/2 inch, you could do that if you want. What I would tell you is to go to 5/8 and mow it there until you get into like late May or June when it starts to get really hot and Bermuda starts growing like wildfire. And if you can continue to keep up with the mowing demands, then yeah, you can keep it at 5/8, or you may go up to like 3/4 of an inch. So like how high you mow Bermuda really comes down to how much time you have, because as it gets, as it's like Bermuda is like Tetris. You ever play Tetris? I mean, I'm kind of showing my age here, but if you start out with Tetris, it's like really easy when you first start, like the tiles are coming down really slowly. And as you go, as you level up and it gets faster and faster and faster, it becomes more difficult to properly place the tiles, right? Bermuda grass is kind of like the same way. So if you want to start out like really low earlier in the season, not that big a deal. Like you're on level 1, but like as it gets hotter, and like the days are longer, like the difficulty ramps up. Like it starts to grow really aggressively, especially when like nighttime temps are in the 60s, mid 60s. That's when Bermuda just really begins to take off. So if you've got the time to continue to maintain it at 1/2 inch, which at some parts of the year is going to require mowing every day to keep it looking good, you can do that. What I would tell you is going to 3/4 of an inch like substantially reduces the amount of mowing you have to do. Like you'll be at the worst time of the year, you're going to be like on an every other day mowing cycle, which is better than every day. And the lawn's going to still look great. It's going to stripe better. The color's going to be better. You're going to have less chances of disease problems because you're not going to be injuring the lawn quite as frequently. So if you want to keep it at 1/2 inch for the rest of April and then go to 5/8, you could do that. My mower is currently set to 5/8, and that's where I'm going to leave the lawn until probably the end of May, and then I'll bump it up to 3/4 of an inch and go from there. So hopefully that helps, Jimmy. It really depends on you. I'll tell you, like 1 year, I decided I was going to be crazy, and say, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, man. I'm gonna send it, and I'm gonna keep my Bermuda grass at just under 1/2 inch. Like I had the mower set at a bench height of 0.45 inches, and literally in June, July, it was like every 36 hours. So pretty much every day the lawn needed to be mowed. Like, and I'm just, it looked cool. Like you get out there with a golf ball and throw a golf ball and it would like roll out like a golf course. Like it was really, really cool. It was like I had like a real fairway in the back lawn, but it's just so much work because practically every day you have to mow it. And the stripes didn't look as good. The color wasn't as good. I didn't have any disease problems, but just overall, it just began to be like not fun. Like it's like it became like a job. Like every day you have to mow the lawn, no matter what you're doing. Like if today's karate, but okay, I got to carve out like an hour to go mow the lawn. And then the next day I'm doing something else. I gotta carve out some time to go mow the lawn. Like every day you're going to be mowing it. if you want it to stay green, looking like pristine between cuts, which is, I don't personally think it is worth it. So just go to 3/4 of an inch, because then you get like an amazing lawn, great color, great stripes, and real mowing won't ruin your life. So take it for what it's worth. But if you want to learn this problem, learn for yourself, by all means, try it out and you report back to me how it works out for you. All right. Archie Amo says, come on, people, let's hit those like buttons. Yeah, let's do that, guys. We got 120 folks in the live stream just on YouTube alone, and only 73 likes. Archie, I must be doing a bad job. That's the only thing I can imagine. I must be off tonight, because that like button, folks, they can't move the mouse over there and tap the like button. So I guess I'm just gonna have to just deal with the 73 likes I got, because folks aren't bringing it. So we'll I'll keep trying. Oh, guys, I got to show you, and this is Mars Beads is here in the live stream. I want to show you guys a great fescue lawn. So Mars, I saw your name, so I thought about you, because this is a picture I got from another viewer from last year, Ted Rogers. Mars also has a fescue lawn. I think she is in Tennessee. But like last year, if you guys remember, there was a guy, Ted Rogers, who he went full Monty. He said, I want to really transform my lawn. I want to turn it into a fescue golf course lawn, have it look as good as possible. He did a full renovation, top dressed, seeded, did all the things. Like, he followed the program to a T, did follow the nutrient program, the fertilization program to a T, kept up with his mowing, and got a great stand of turf grass. And this year, and the thing I told him, I said, listen, so Ted, it looks good. It looks good, you know, how you end the season. However, what you're really going to see it is the start of this year, because you're going to be so much further ahead because of all the work you did in the previous season. So he sent me a picture of the lawn, of how it looks as of today. And mind you, I like short grass, but you got to put some respect on that. I mean, that's a tall fescue lawn. It's not even looking its absolute best yet, but I mean, for a March lawn, that's looking pretty clean. I think you gotta respect that. And I'll have to reach out to Ted and see if he can send me some pictures of what he like, showing the whole process. But I mean, for a fescue lawn in March, pretty nice work. And I know how it looked and all the work that went into getting it to that. So pretty spectacular. So keep going, Ted. I'm sure it's gonna look even better as the season progresses, but just shows like all that work you did last year is really, you know, all coming together now, and then it's going to get even better as the season progresses. So keep it up. Robert Rainey's in the house. He says, happy Friday, season is in full swing here. Let's go. Very, very nice, Robert. So I fully expect to see pictures of the lawn. I mean, at some point, I'm sure you're going to break out the prism gauge, showing how the mower's cutting. So, we're waiting for all of that. The folks in the academy, you've set the standard, so we're expecting you to maintain that this year too. So you've been kind of quiet a little bit, so I'm sure you're just getting ramped up for this season. All right, Simple Cash Offer is up next. He says, good evening, Ron. I bought the Earthway spreader you suggested. The wheels seem like they don't want to roll. Am I doing something wrong? Also, the lawn is a bit bumpy. It definitely is hard to keep it moving. No, I'm trying to think of what would cause that. The only thing that could really cause the wheels to not roll well, I mean, there's a cotter pin that goes through the like the axle, and if that is perhaps rubbing on something like that, I could see it would make it difficult. But there's not a whole lot that should make it difficult for the Earthway to roll. I'll tell you, if it's empty, yes, like mine, like I tend to have product in it. It rolls a lot better when there's actually some product in the spreader. But even with it empty, you still should be able to move it around pretty easily. So I'm not sure what's going on with yours. Without actually seeing video of what you're experiencing, it's tough to give you suggestions. Simple Cash Offer. So I'm sorry I'm not more help on this one. I'm not sure what could be going on. I mean, a bumpy lawn, again, that really shouldn't affect it from you being able to roll it. But yeah, it's tough without pictures to know for sure what's happening. All right, next up is JT 1999. He says, JT, I know this JT. I know JT. I think the first time I ever shot a shotgun was with this JT. Oh man, small world, man. Hopefully you're doing all right. He says, I have a full-blown farm lawn. Where do I start to convert this into a real golf course? What I would say is pick part of it. Like it's, it's funny. Like I get emails from folks that have like, several acres, and they're like, I want to turn it all into a golf course lawn. I'm like, man, you really got to know what you're asking for, because it's It's expensive to do it. It's time consuming to do it. What I would say is pick an area somewhere between 5 to 10,000 square feet around the house, like an area that's around the house that you're saying, okay, this is going to be the area, maybe the front lawn that I want to make this look really nice. And this step one, if we walk through it, is going to be, if we go to the golf course lawn store and just go to shop, I've got like a little infographic that explains like how to take a lawn from 0 to hero in 5 easy steps. So first thing is to eliminate weeds. Now I know you're in Georgia, so you've got warm season grass. So you're going to want to use a set of herbicides that are selective, that will kill or control the weeds that are in your lawn while allowing the Bermuda grass to be okay. So a great combination is a herbicide combo consisting of Celsius and Certainty. Like Celsius is good for broadleafs, and Certainty is good for like sedges and Poa annua and some of your more grassy weeds. So the step one is to get the weeds under control. The next thing is to do a soil test. The reason why we do a soil test is probably the most common question I get, other than how do I kill this weed in my lawn, is which fertilizer is the best one for my particular grass, right? And that question is impossible to answer without soil test data. So what you would do is get a soil test kit. These are really easy to use. They're not really complicated. You go out and take samples from the area that you're going to improve, mix those samples up in a plastic bucket, and then add them to, do I actually have a thing in here? I think this is an actual kit. You will have a, you'll add the scoop of sand to this, which is, consists of water and an ion exchange resin, which the easy way of explaining it is kind of like a synthetic root. You'll mail this out using the included self-addressed envelope, and within a week or so, you'll get an email with your results. And in those results, you'll have some recommendations as far as fertilizers that are the best fit for your particular soil based on the soil test data. So step one, eliminate weeds. Step two, do a soil test. And then step three, fertilize your lawn based on said soil test data, right? So the soil test data is like the prescription to what's going on with your soil to help get things in a great shape. And then step four, which is the hardest part, it's the thing that most people don't do consistently enough, which is once you've eliminated weeds, you know what kind of fertilizer you should be using. You apply said fertilizer to the lawn regularly. It comes down to mowing. Like the biggest thing that separates a golf course or really any professional sports field from most residential lawns is, outside of the nutrient program, which we're already covering, is mowing frequency. So most people mow their lawn when it looks like it needs to be cut, right? Like I always say that most folks mow their lawn on a frequency that is often enough to prevent them from getting a nasty gram from the HOA, which for most people is like once every 2 weeks. And that's just not going to work. Really, if you want a lawn that really stands out, you're going to have to commit to mowing the lawn at least twice per week, like once on the weekends and once during the week, because that's really what really separates, a regular looking lawn to a really healthy stand of turf grass. Because when you mow with sharp equipment, you are encouraging growth. So now that we've killed the weeds off, when you're regularly mowing it, you're going to encourage the grass to grow more aggressively, which is going to cause it to thicken up and really give that nice manicured appearance. So, the biggest difference between, again, a residential lawn, which most of the lawns around here in Georgia are Bermuda, and the fairway of most golf courses in Georgia, which are also Bermuda, is just the fact that the golf course fairway, which Bermuda grass, gets mowed every other day, whereas most residential lawns get mowed whenever people feel like it. So mowing is the big thing that's really going to help your lawn stand apart. And then if you do these things, so you get rid of weeds, fertilize your lawn based on soil test data, and then mow some more, it is practically impossible for you to not get an amazing lawn. I always tell folks, it's like getting a great lawn is almost like getting like a six-pack, right? Like it's easy to say, I want to get in a great shape. I want to be able to deadlift a bunch of weight, or I want to, have like a athletic physique. But it doesn't typically work for most people if you pursue that directly. Say, if you go to the gym and you say, I want to have a six-pack, most folks will typically burn out before they get to the point where they can do that. Whereas if you say, hey, listen, you got to lift heavy, you got to eat a proper diet, and you got to be consistent about it. And then if you do those things, like getting a great physique is just kind of a byproduct. Like you can't help but get in a great shape if you do those things. Like a great lawn is the same way. Like if you feed it properly and you mow it regularly, it's practically like you'd have to try really hard to not have a great stand of turf grass if you just do those things. So that's what I would say. As far as the herbicides that I was telling you about, where you can find this stuff, if you go to the golf course lawn store, if you go to shop and then weed killer for warm season turf grass, this kit, which is consists of 2 herbicides, surfactant, and dye, will cover anywhere between 72,000 square feet up to 130,000 square feet. So depending on how big an area you decide to carve off, like most folks will buy this and it'll be good for years. So this will do the heavy lifting as far as cleaning up weeds in your lawn. And then as far as your soil test kit, what I would tell you to get is the starter pack, because that includes the soil test kit and the tool to extract said samples. And then the next thing you're really going to be doing is once you get your soil test back, you'll be able to come over to what I call the candy aisle of the golf course lawn store, which is the lawn fertilizer section. This is where everybody likes to hang out, but really you have to kind of earn the right to come here. You got to have the data, know what to buy here. And here you've got an assortment of granular fertilizers, liquid fertilizers, plant growth regulators, all the accoutrement to make your lawn look incredible. But really don't skip on the soil test, because that's really going to give you the information to get make the best choice. And then your mower, right? If you're looking to get a lawn to look you want a golf course fairway type look, real mowing is really what you're going to have to do. Like, you can get a great looking lawn with like a ride-on mower. Like, there's people that do that and they have great lawns, but you're limited to cutting heights of, I mean, if you're lucky, 1.5 inches on the low end with a riding mower. Most of them you can't get that low without scalping. But when you get into a real mower, now you can really cut the lawn at heights of cut that are what you're really going for that golf course fairway look. Like right now, my lawn's not looking that great. I'm not sure if I've got some old video of the back lawn. Let me see if I've got any here that I can show you. But the big thing is a real mower is a thing that's what really gives you that manicured look, because it allows you to mow the grass at much lower heights without causing injury compared to like a rotary mower. I'm not sure if this, so this is a good example. This is a video from like last year at some point, and this is like, you will not achieve this look without using a real mower. So this is if this is the look you want, a real mower is what you're gonna have to go for. Most real mowers are going to be push real mowers. You can get ride-on ones, but then you're talking like you can talk about 5-figure mowers, like a lot of money. So if you're looking for a push real mower, you can get them that are 26-inch widths of cut, and those can produce a great result. But if you want to look like that, the thing that you'll add after all the other stuff I listed here, so after soil testing, after getting rid of weeds, after fertilizing properly, is you need a piece of equipment like this, or like the Revolution 26 that Real Roller sells. They're there in Beaufort, like they carry them. That's a great mower as well too. But the mower will make the difference as far as the look of it. So what I tell most people is start with soil testing, get the weeds under control, fertilize it. And even if you're using a riding mower, do that for like, a season or so, and see if you like it, because just doing that, your lawn's gonna look better than your neighbor's lawn just by doing that alone. And then you can decide, hey, I want to carve out 10,000, 15,000 square feet, and I want to make this look like a golf course fairway. Then you have to invest like in a real mower, and then the sky's the limit. So that's what I'd say. Cool to hear from you, JT, man. I gotta hit you up, man. We haven't spoken in a while. It's been an interesting past few months at our old place of employment. I'll have to chat with you, man, and see how you've been doing at your new place. So it's cool to hear from you. All right, next up is simple cash offer. You said I used the Earthway all season. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure what's going on with yours, because mine is not that difficult to push. I'd have to see a video of it to know what's going on with your spreader. Okay, next we have, it's not for me. Next up is Elevated. He says, waiting on delivery of my Catalyst 25-inch. I'm here for the green up. Very cool. We got to clap it up for that, man. Give you some dap for some new equipment. A lot of folks are talking about that new Catalyst, man. It seems like that's getting some traction. It's kind of cool. And then next up is Latanja Moore. She says, hello, Ron. Based on comments, looks like it's time to fertilize and put out fungicide. So it's definitely time to begin fertilizing. I know you're in Georgia, so fertilizing, yes. Insecticide, yes. Fungicide, it's a bit early unless you have a history of disease problems in your lawn. So if you want to have like a schedule that you can follow, Latanja, if you go to the golf course lawn store and go to shop and no, not shop. Go to resources and lawn care schedule, and then monthly application schedule, which we spent a lot of time putting this together. Literally, especially for you can use this for all grass types, but really for you being in Georgia, this is like a perfect fit. So in the case of April, you'll notice a consistent thing is consistent mowing. You want to be mowing your lawn regularly. Core aeration is something you would want to consider doing this month, but then your fertilization, Humic Max 1608 is a great option, and then an insecticide either in granular or liquid form, because this is the time of year when grubs, like the cycle for like grub larvae can become a problem where they can start munching on the roots of your grass. So to help prevent that from being a problem, we want to get a preventative insecticide out, and Acelepryn G is my, or Acelepryn SC is my particular recommendation. You really wouldn't need to do fungicide from a preventative standpoint until we get into May. Again, unless you have a history of disease in your lawn earlier in the season, in which case, then yeah, getting on a fungicide now would be okay. But for this time of year, for April, you want to start fertilizing, get your insecticide app done. Again, Acelepryn is what I'd recommend. Core aerate if you something you want to do this time of year, and start mowing consistently, because that's going to make a big difference, man. Like mowing your grass consistently is going to encourage more growth. Believe it or not, like the more you mow your grass, the better it's going to look. So that's what I would tell you. So next up, we have Jimmy Miller. He says, Ron, this will be my first year real mowing and cutting low. You have no idea all the joys that are about to come your way. He says, as far as I know, I have never had a fungus problem. Should I apply a fungicide or wait and take a wait and see approach? What would you suggest? I would apply preventative fungicide, like especially if you're real mowing. I absolutely would, because here's why, Jimmy. If you wait until you see disease problems in your lawn, like you've got, I think Bermuda or Zoysia, like, so what you could likely run into is like something like large patch. By the time you start seeing large patch in your lawn, you get some fungicide then and apply it. You're still looking at a couple of weeks before the lawn heals from the damage. You know what? I can actually, I'm talking, but I can actually show what I'm talking about here. So I can give you an example of it. So if you go to, I think it's in the Headway G1 in here, I show exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, if you look at, so this is, yes, exactly. So this is a damage that actually happened in my lawn. This is probably 3 or 4 years ago, right? So this is 2 weeks before. So I'm seeing this ring starting to form on my lawn. I'm saying, that's not right. I should probably do something about that. So at that point, I put out a fungicide, right? And so it's 2 weeks before. And then if we watch what happens 2 weeks later, you can still kind of see the ring. Like you can see that it's gotten better. Like the lawn is healing, the grass is healing from the damage, but it's not like one of these things where if you apply fungicide, you automatically go from this to that in a couple of days. Like, and here's what, 2 weeks later, and it's still not really 100%. Like when I went out there, I could still see this a little bit. So the way you prevent like even having this problem in the first place is like using a preventative fungicide. Like you want to treat fungicide in many ways, especially if you're real mowing, like how people use pre-emergent for preventing weeds. It's better to prevent the disease problem in the first place than it is to wait for it to show up and then treat it after the fact. Same thing for insect damage, same thing for weed control, same thing for diseases. Like you want to like prevent that more so before than waiting to control it after the fact. And the reason why I say with real mowing especially, or anyone really that is going to consider like doing a program like this, right? If you're trying to get like a golf course lawn where you are starting to treat your lawn along the same way how professional turf is treated, then you have to do the same things that they also do. Like if you look at like a golf course, like on the greens, because greens get mowed every day, they're spraying fungicides every month. Like on some courses, they're spraying fungicides every few weeks, every 2 to 3 weeks, they're putting fungicide out because the turf is getting injured so regularly. Like when you're mowing the greens every single day, that injury that constant injury makes it much more susceptible to disease problems. So the way you help prevent that is by using a fungicide to help suppress the problem. Now, if you're mowing your lawn at 3/4 of an inch, like golf course fairway type heights, then you don't need to be on a fungicide program where you're applying it every 2 to 3 weeks. You could get by with a May, June fungicide app. And the reason why I particularly picked those months is because in as you go into months of May and June, that's like late spring. We tend to have a lot of moisture, so it tends to be more humid, and it's also starting to get warmer. So you're just getting a condition where it's just more like the humidity and the moisture staying on the leaf of the plant even throughout the night just creates conditions where that makes the grass more susceptible to disease problems. So doing a preventive fungicide app in May and another one in June does wonders for keeping disease out of your lawn throughout the rest of the spring and summer. And the only other time I really recommend doing preventive fungicide again would be in the fall. So in the months of October and the month of November, before you shut it down for the season, to help prevent diseases like spring dead spot. And if you got cool season lawn, to help prevent like snow mold, like those types of diseases that tend to happen later on in the year. So to answer your question, I would not wait until you have disease, until it shows up, because you're gonna be looking at an eyesore in most cases for at least 2 weeks. And if you wait too long, it could be a month or longer, depending on the extent of the damage. So hopefully that helps. I mean, I realize that it's sometimes tough to go out and spend money for some just in case, but again, you are not maintaining your lawn. If you decide to do this, you're not maintaining your lawn the way that like your neighbors and most people that don't really care about their grass is doing it. You're beginning to take on more the approach of how professional turf is cared for, and this is what they do. Like they like fungicide is part of their program. Keeping the mowing equipment sharp is part of their program. Mowing regularly is part of their program. Like a solid nutrient program. Like all that goes into it. And if you do that, then you get like a lawn that looks like a professional sports field as a byproduct. So you got to do all of it. If you just do the mowing part, it'll look good, but then you can start running into problems because you're not doing the entire thing. It makes sense. So I wouldn't go piecemeal, because you're gonna start running into issues. Okay, next up we have Latanja. No, not Latanja. We already did that one. We have let's see. We have Harper's Knitter. She says, my mower sunk into that spot yesterday. Last year, I was injured and I couldn't afford twice a week mow, so I used propiconazole and a granular. We had a foot of snow 3 weeks ago. It's tricky in the Northwest. I see. All right. Next up, we have James Outler says, enjoying the content. I'm glad to hear it, James. I'm glad to hear that it is valuable. And at the minimum, this is entertaining, right? And then next up, we have Jason Pratt. He says, my parents had their fescue lawn sprayed 4 weeks ago and assume they had some weed killer in their too. Now it's completely dead. Ooh, sorry to hear that. Options: can I reseed, or is my assumption is that a pre-emergent issue? Yeah, so it sounds like, first of all, sorry you're dealing with this, but it sounds like whatever was sprayed on your parents' lawn was either sprayed at incorrect rates, or they sprayed a herbicide that is not labeled safe for use on cool season grass like fescue. So there's a couple things you got to make sure you get right. Like the dose matters, and then also the product you use matters. So if wholesale across the whole lawn is dead, then they probably either use something that was non-selective, or they use something that was designed for warm season grass, or they really, really messed up on the rate. Your options, reseeding, you could absolutely reseed. If it's dead and you want to reseed it, then I would go through just doing like a full renovation, like clean out all the now dead material, and then seed the lawn. You know what I mean? And ask ask the people that sprayed it, like what the Hades, man, like what do you guys do? Because that is the one thing you really, when it comes to the difference between cool season and warm season lawns, outside of like the nutrient demands being slightly different, the big thing that you cannot make a mistake with is when it comes to herbicides. So if you look like when it comes to herbicide choices, like there are herbicides that are strictly for cool season turf grass and ones that are strictly for warm season turf grass. So we have like a filter to show the differences. But like you say something like Celsius, right? Celsius or Certainty, these are incredible, amazing herbicides. Like they have no temperature restrictions. They're really good at controlling weeds without damaging your grass, but they are designed only for warm season turf grass, meaning that if you spray either of these on ryegrass, on fescue, on KBG, on Kentucky bluegrass, you're going to damage and or kill it, right? So while they're great, they're only for warm season grass. If you go over here to like Tenacity, our cool season kit, like Sedgehammer is kind of like grass agnostic. You can use it on a warm or cool season grass, but like Tenacity really is only designed for use on cool season grass. You can use it on St. Augustine if you got like a sod farm and centipede, I guess, but for the most part, it's a cool season grass herbicide. If you spray this on Bermuda grass or Zoysia grass, you're going to damage it. So the type of herbicide, like the type of grass matters. Like whenever you're controlling weeds in a lawn, the questions you need to be asking yourself are, one, what kind of grass do I have? Like that is probably the most important question to ask. Like what kind of grass do I have? Because that is going to drive what herbicides, like in the catalog of herbicides, which ones are a fit that I can use selectively on my lawn that will like largely leave my turf grass uninjured, but will control the weeds that I'm after. So thing one is what kind of grass do I have? Thing two is what kind of weed is it? Like what kind of weed do I have growing in my lawn? And then that then allows you to narrow down the choices of, depending on the kind of grass that I have, depending on the weed that's growing in my lawn, and the time of year and that type of thing, which herbicide is the best fit to control this weed in this type of grass. Like those things, that really matters. And this is a big deal. Like we've had like people that have either written in with this type of issue that they've had either someone sprayed something on their lawn or they went and bought something from the big box stores and they didn't read the label. That today actually we released an article on our blog. So if you go to resources and blog, and it's absolutely free to get access to, which talks about this exact thing, like 10 common mistakes to avoid when using weed killers. Like if you want to not mess up your lawn using herbicides, like please read this. There's like 10 different tips that are really easy to read. You can tell it's really short, it's not long, but 10 little tips you can quickly read to know like how you do not mess up your lawn when you're using herbicides. Like using the wrong weed killer, meaning is it selective? Is it labeled for your type of grass? Spraying at the wrong time of day? Weather forecast, like you spray herbicides on your lawn and then you get like 2 inches of rain 15 minutes later. Probably not going to work as well. Over applying herbicides, so that could be in your case, like did the person overdo it? Applying it in the wrong or using herbicides on stressed grass. So if your lawn is already struggling and you use herbicides, this is a good point that we're talking about. Even though you have a herbicide that is labeled safe for use for a particular type of grass, right? So say like something like say 2,4-D, right? That is largely safe for like warm season turf grass. But if you go and you spray that on a Bermuda lawn that is struggling or that's thin, even though it's labeled relatively safe for use on that type of grass, if you use herbicides on a weak grass, you are going to have a negative result on your lawn, because even herbicides that are labeled safe for certain grass types, they are still a stressor, even though it's a mild stressor to the grass. So your lawn not being in great shape when you spray herbicides can also cause you to have a bad result. Applying herbicides in the wrong growth stage of the weeds. So it should become as no surprise when it comes to controlling weeds. If you can do it earlier in the season, like when weeds are younger, smaller, they're easier to control. So like a good example of this is like crabgrass. If like one of the best herbicides for controlling crabgrass is a herbicide called quinclorac. And if you use it when crabgrass is relatively young, so it's first, second, third tiller, like relatively young crabgrass, it does an exceptional job. If you decide you're going to wait until late July, August, when crabgrass is already like living its best life and it's big and grown, it's looking awesome, like it's taking up real estate in the lawn, you can use quinclorac on it. You can use a herbicide on it, but it's going to take multiple rounds to get it under control. It's just going to be a lot more difficult to control it versus if you do it earlier. So that's one of the tips that we also want to share as well, that depending on the growth stage, you may have varying results on as far as herbicides go. And then mixing compatible products, so making sure that if you're mixing stuff that they actually can play nicely together. Ignoring application equipment and calibration, this is really important. So if you go out and you are going to spray a herbicide, like one of the things you'll see on the label, they'll say this amount of herbicide over X amount of square footage. So a common thing will be something like, say for Celsius, it'll be like 0.226 ounces of Celsius over 2,000 square feet at the high rate, right? Meaning that you use that much Celsius, 2 gallons of water, you spray it over 2,000 square feet. And the way to know that you're putting 2 gallons of solution over 2,000 square feet is ensuring that like your equipment, like your sprayer, is properly calibrated. So if you decide, I don't have time to do that, I'm just gonna get out there and just throw it down and hope for the best, right? And you end up spraying 2 gallons over 500 square feet, even though this is labeled as safe for Bermuda grass, you're probably gonna have an issue because you've like quadrupled the rate. Like you put it way too much down in too much of a small area. So big thing is calibrate your equipment. We've got videos showing how to do that. So don't forget that. And then there's a video here talking about that as well on like how to use your sprayer and get the most out of it. Not properly identifying the weeds. So you think you got crabgrass, but it's really, Poa annua, which this time of year, like we get a lot of questions about that. They're saying, hey, I got crabgrass in my lawn. I'm like, it's probably not crabgrass. It's probably Poa. And then also not wearing your PPE. So make sure you're wearing the proper safety equipment whenever you're spraying herbicides. And if you follow those 10 tips, it's pretty tough to not have a good result. So I'll link this for you, Jason. And I know you're on Instagram, but you can also find it on the Golf Course Lawn Store. Just go to resources and the blog, and it's the current first one because we just released it today. And again, hopefully you guys get some value out of it because there's like 10 like easy to follow tips that if you follow all these tips, you do all 10 of these things, pretty tough for you not to get a good result when it comes to using herbicides in your lawn. So hopefully this is useful. And it's the pinned comment on YouTube if you guys are in the YouTube live stream, so you can just click on that to be able to get to it. But since Jason is on Instagram, I will post it for everybody else to be able to get to. For using herbicides. Boom. Okay. So hopefully you get some value out of that. All right. Moving on to our next question. We have Heartfelt Fashion. He says, hey, thanks for the info today on Messenger, Ron. I am excited to use your new products. Cool, man. Yeah, let me know how they get on. I mean, I think you'll be pretty happy with them. A lot of work went into the formulation, and so far we've been getting lots of great feedback. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy with it. Frank V is up next. He says, hey, Ron, this reel mower isn't getting any easier to push as it gets warmer. LOL. I'm still staying away from no man's land as well, sir. Thank you. Speaking of mowing, can Bermuda grass get reel mowed every day? Yeah. So can it get reel mowed every day? You can, yes. But if you're going to do that, a couple of things. You want to make sure you keep the equipment sharp because again, you're going to be injuring the grass every day. And really, I'd say only mow it every day if you need to. Like, every time you mow your lawn, you are causing injury. And the mowing frequency really should be driven by the height of cut that you're after, which is going to drive, which is going to have an influence on the growth rate, like how much material you can take off in a single session to not like violate the 1/3 rule. So for example, if you are maintaining your lawn at 3/4 of an inch, right? So 0.75 inches, like 1/3 of 3/4 of an inch is is a quarter of an inch, right? 0.25. And it may take your lawn this time of year 3 days to grow a quarter of an inch. So you can mow it every 3 days. But as you go lower and lower and lower, so say you get down to like under half an inch, now you're at, what is that? Like 0.17, 0.16. So now we're talking about a whole lot. You're talking about less material that, you can take off between sessions to not violate that 1/3 of, clippings being taken off in any one go. So as you go lower, the more frequently you have to mow. And in your case, if you're mowing under half an inch, yeah, you might very well be mowing every day at certain times of the year. But I wouldn't get out there and mow the lawn every day just for the sake of doing it. Like I would mow the lawn as frequently as it needs to be mowed, but not any more than that, because you're minimizing injury, you're minimizing wear. Because like if you get out there with a mower and you're running a mower over the lawn, especially if it's not like a mower with like a drum to where the weight is more evenly distributed, you can start causing ruts and stuff in the lawn if you're out there every single day on it. So mow it as frequently as it needs to be cut, but not really anymore. So that's what I would tell you. Like there's not a whole lot of benefit. Like if you're maintaining your lawn at 3/4 of an inch, I don't really see any need to mow it every day. There's not a real need to do that. So if you want to, you can, but there's not a whole really good reason to do so. All right, mow it as frequently as it needs to be cut, and really no more. That's what I would tell you. Balance, it's a good balancing act. All right, Latondra Moore says, wishing everyone a great season. Do you have an update on your front yard makeover? Yeah, I sort of do. So if you want to see like where it currently is, it was sprayed 10 days ago. 10, 12 days ago with a combination of glyphosate and Fusilade 2, which was pretty painful to do, but I did it. And this is how the lawn looks as of this morning. So you can see how it's yellowed up. Now here's what's funny about this, right? If you look at my lawn, and you look at the lawn in the background, right, which is my neighbor's lawn, they're both equally yellow. So you'd say, oh, wow, these lawns are just both dormant. What's the big deal, right? But really, when you'll see the difference or how it would normally look this time of year is if we get towards the end of the video, and if you look at the part of the lawn, see there in the background, that is green, that did not get sprayed with herbicides. You can see how this looks and how that looks. Like normally, the front lawn would look green like that this time of year, but because it was hit with glyphosate, it doesn't. It's hating me right now. We're not really talking. So yeah, there's an update as far as how it's looking. Next week, Tuesday, is when the real work starts. They're going to come in there and cut it all out and till it and do all this stuff. And then the following, I think Wednesday is when the sod goes in. So definitely I'm going to be filming a ton of it, and I'll be showing you guys like how it comes together. It'll be fun. It should be a fun project. To be kind of got to fix my ugly lawn for the front lawn, because it's going to be like doing a full renovation on just the front lawn. We can take it from like kill off to sod to top dressing to getting it like golf course lawn quality. Hopefully by like summerish time. We'll see. We'll see what, how well it does. Okay. Next up is Frank V. He says, is it normal to have to mow every day when the height of cut is 7/8 of an inch, or am I over mowing? You're probably overdoing it. So you're right at an inch. You shouldn't have to mow every day at 7/8. No. And here's the thing too, you can consider too, Frank V. This month, a great tool for getting your grass to look incredible, also to help reduce mowing frequency, is to use plant growth regulator. So like PGR is a tool that I rely heavily on to keep my grass looking like its absolute best. Like my lawn would not look like how you see in this. I think I already showed it. I'm not sure if I can bring it up here again, if I can find it. Like how you see in this video of the back lawn without plant growth regulator. Like it really is that much of a game changer. Like I'm trying to find this video again, but I can't. All right. At any rate, to show you the difference that PGR can make for reducing mowing frequency, if you go to, let me see here, Shop Lawn Fertilizer and Primo Max, and I will tell you, before we even talk about plant growth regulator, I want to tell you this. There's life before PGR and there's life after PGR. So once you start using growth regulator, it's going to be one of these things you've always wondered, like why you waited so long. One thing you didn't know you always needed in your life. And the benefit to it is, I can talk about it, but pictures are do a much better job. So if you look at this, these are two blades of Bermuda grass. One of them, the one on the left, is the neighbor's lawn. So a lawn that does not get Primo, does not get plant growth regulator. And the one on the right is same Bermuda grass, same cultivar, but with plant growth regulator. So you can see, given the same length, how much more dense the grass is with Primo. So you get less stalk, less stem growth, but a lot more leaf density. So as far as like getting the lawn to thicken up and just also help with disease resistance, and just in addition to reducing the amount of mowing you're having to do, Primo makes a huge difference. So again, I wasn't showing you guys. You can see right here, this is no Primo, and this is with Primo. So you can look at the difference there. You can see the difference in leaf density between no growth regulator and plant growth regulator. So this is something, if you're going to be real mowing your lawn and really want to maintain it under an inch, growth regulator is absolutely something you're going to want to look into. It makes a really big difference as far as the appearance, the cutting frequency, your mowing frequency, the mowing demands. Overall, it's a great tool for maintaining like high quality, low cut turf. So I would absolutely recommend looking into it. And if you are interested, we've got like videos on how to use it and all that jazz in the descriptions. So give that a look. I'll do one section on, I'll do a live stream where the talking point, probably not this week or next week, but sometime in April, talking about plant growth regulator and how I like to use them for great results. So just make sure you subscribe and keep showing up, because there'll be a time when I am talking about that. All right, next up we have, Andrew Phillips. He says, yeah, Frank V, unless you're keeping your height of cut below 1/2 inch, you shouldn't have to mow every day. Yep, that's exactly right. Let's see here. Mars Beat says, I will be using my backpack sprayer for an application of glyphosate for my backyard renovation. What is the proper way to clean it to be able to use it with other products? Great question, Mars Beat. So I've done this exact same thing. So the same sprayer that I use today to spray liquid fertilizer and biostimulants, and we'll be using for growth regulator, is the same one that I used 10 days ago for spraying like the evil concoction, glyphosate and fusilade 2. So one of the worst things you want to spray on a Bermuda grass lawn if you want to keep it around, right? And what I would tell you is you're going to want to triple rinse it. So the process of cleaning it is obviously use all the herbicide up on the lawn, and then you're going to want to rinse the tank out 3 times. And then when you've got the tank cleaned, you think, okay, I'm in great shape. There's no more residue of glyphosate in the tank. Put about, I don't know, half a gallon of water or so in the tank, and then run the sprayer for 30 seconds with just water. What that's going to do is it's going to run just clean water throughout the pump, through the lines, through the wand, through the spray tip, throughout the entire system. You're flushing any glyphosate out. And if you do that, then you're good to go for using it for, whatever you want to spray with next time. So don't just rinse the tank and call it good. You want to also run the sprayer with just clean water in the tank, and that's going to get rid of any residue that's left there. And then again, you're good to go. Like I use the same sprayer for herbicides, for fungicides, for insecticides, and also for putting growth regulator and fertilizers on my lawn. The big thing is you just want to clean the tank and the wand and the pump properly between uses. And the way I do it is, again, triple rinse. Like triple rinse the tank and run the sprayer for 30 seconds, and you're good. And I do that regardless of what I put in it. So even when I spray like not a non-side project. So like today, for example, I sprayed the Release Zero Carbon kit and our liquid fertilizers. Even when I was done with that, I still triple rinsed it. I still like ran water, just clean water through it, to where no matter what, whenever I grab that sprayer out of the garage, it's like a brand new sprayer. I can put whatever I want in it and not have to worry about damaging the lawn. So if you get in that habit, you're never going to really run into issues. And hopefully that helps. Again, triple rinse and then run water through it, and you'll be good to go. All right. Good question. Make sure you're wearing your PPE though, when you're doing your renovation type work. So sounds like fun. The Triller from Manila is in the live stream. He says, "Hey Ron and everyone, what's going on, Ron? Hopefully, to Triller, hopefully you're doing well." He says, Efrain Ariaga is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, good Friday for everyone. We got 2 inches of rain last night here in South Texas. No more for the month. My question is, does that mean I don't have to turn on my irrigation system for 2 weeks?" No, it doesn't work that way. No. So what you want is, like Bermuda grass needs an inch-ish or so of water per week when it's actively growing. Even though you got 2 inches of rain, yesterday, like that 2 inches of water isn't going to stick around for the next 2 weeks, because you remember, like water is lost in the any water you put on the plant that you irrigate is lost a couple of different ways. Like some of it is evaporates, and then like the majority of the water that you put on the grass, believe it or not, is lost through a process called transpiration. So like most of the water used that grass uses it uses to cool itself. So it absorbs water through the root system, and then it kind of you can almost think of it kind of like it sweats it out through these tiny pores that you can't really see with your naked eye, called stomata, right? They're on the leaf of the plant. And if you, depending on the kind of like soil you have, like if you have a sandy soil, absolutely not. Like that 2 inches of water is not going to last for 2 weeks. If you have a clay soil, you might get, it actually absorbed it. Clay does a better job of holding on to water. But I still doubt that you would not have to run or get some kind of water on the grass maybe halfway through the second week. So say for example today, right? You got 2 inches of water today. Yes, you would not have to water for the rest of this week, but once you got into the next week, a few days in, I would put some water on the grass, because it's not like you put out 2 inches of water and that 2 inches of water stays in the soil and the grass is able to kind of like pull it out of this pool over the course of 2 weeks. Like a lot of it is lost, with you being where you're in South Texas, so it's hot there. Like a lot of it just is lost to evaporation. Like it evaporates out, and then the grass uses it, and you just like that 2 inches of water does not stay in the portion of the root zone that the grass can get to it for extended periods of time. I mean, clay soil is better about that, but even that 2 inches is not going to stick around for 2 weeks. So, answer your question, no, you still got to water your grass. You maybe get by a week without watering it, but when you get into week 2, I would put some water on the grass. All right. Okay, next up is, where do we leave off? We have Tom V in the live stream. He says, "I know you have some videos from years ago, but what about manual reel mowing? Would you buy today? Do you think it's worth it to invest in if you can afford a powered reel mower?" Yes. So great question. So Tom's question is, you have a manual reel mower, they still make them. Is it worth investing in a manual reel mower if you can afford a powered one? Yes, for one reason only. And that is to see if if reel mowing is really for you. Because if you decide you want to have like a golf course lawn, you really want that manicured turf lawn look, it's one thing to say that, but it's another thing to actually consistently do the work. And reel mowing is very intolerant of inconsistency. So what I'd say is if you get a manual reel mower, if you can use that, for a month, 6 weeks, and religiously, every week you're out there at least twice a week mowing the grass and you have no problem with it, like you enjoy it, then yeah, sure, go out and spring for a powered reel mower, because then you're not going to go out and make this big investment in a piece of equipment that you may not want to have the time to go use, and then you got to go get rid of it, right? Money's no object, and yeah, go and start with a powered reel mower, whatever. You can do what you want. But for most people, I say, a manual reel mower is an easy way to see if reel mowing is really for you, if the time investment is really something that you want to do. And if you do that, then you can move to a powered reel mower and really enjoy it. So like this picture here, like you will not get that look though with a manual reel mower. You're gonna have a powered one to get like that, like a cut that looks like that. But having said that, you can think of a manual reel mower as almost like training wheels, right? So it's not a bad investment, unless you already know, you've already decided, hook, line, and sinker, that reel mowing is for me, and I want that kind of life. If you already know that, then go for it. But for most people, it's worth taking the time to start with a manual reel mower and then go into a powered one, is what I would tell you. But your call, Tom. If you've already decided that it's for you, go for it, man. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's only money. It's only money, right? All right, next up is, and you said, Frank V says, I love reel mowing. So at that point, right? So if you are at the point where you look forward to mowing your lawn, like that's how I am, Frank. Like I do some of my best thinking when I'm out mowing the lawn. Like I don't really enjoy edging the lawn. I don't really enjoy working on shrubs. Like even the fertilization part, that is okay. Like it's not bad doing that. I do it because I have to, but I really enjoy mowing. Like I do some of my best thinking when I'm out in the lawn mowing the lawn. So if you are at that point where you just enjoy reel mowing, like you look forward to the mow, then yeah, go and get your reel mower. But if it's like, oh man, I got to go out and mow the lawn today, then it might not be for you, because it's not something that you can be inconsistent with and still have a good result. All right. Okay, next up is Andrew Phillips. Andrew, he and I, you and me, we're on the same wavelength, man. He's like, yeah, Frank V, once your lawn is actively growing, you can get on the PGR plan that Ron suggests. LOL, it won't hurt to mow every day. I did a few years ago for a month, and my Bermuda spread so fast and got thick. Cool, so there you go. He says, my knees didn't like it though. Yes, again, it's a lot of work and time. And I would argue that unless your grass needs it, like why continually injure it? Like it doesn't really, what you might do, Frank V, or if I could make an argument for everyday reel mowing when you don't need it in this situation. Let's say, we're entering like Super Bowl weekend for lawn care nerds, which is like 4th of July, right? You got family coming over, you got company coming over, or something like that, right? And in that case, when you have people coming over and you really want to have the lawn looking like it's absolute best, then 2-3 days leading up to whenever people are going to show up, sure, you could go to an everyday reel mowing schedule. Like every day leading up to that, like 2-3 days out, mow every day. The lawn is going to look better. And that will, you're kind of like letting the lawn peak at whenever you're going to have company coming over, and, you can kind of just act like it's not that big a deal. People are like, man, your lawn looks incredible. How do you do this? I'm like, a little fertilizer. I mow it every now and then, so in that case, I could see it, but as a matter of practice, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, man, to do it every single day. Personally, I don't think so. All right, Higgy Pop is up next. He says, happy Friday, everyone. Warm weather is here in Georgia. Have a great show, Ron. Let's all hit the like button. It is free. It is free. Thanks so much, Higgy. Glad to see you doing well. Higgy, I always talk about this, but see my American flag here that's made out of wood. Higgy actually created that for me. So he's a really good woodworker. He gave it as a, I guess like a donation to the channel. And I really do appreciate it. Every time I look at that, I always remember that. So thank you so much, because it's like, America, and it's really cool. It was handcrafted. So really cool stuff. Next up, we have, that's not me. That's not for me. We have Emmanuel Jacobs. He says, happy Friday, Ron. I bought a garden weasel cultivator rolling spike Tool, will be using this tool on my compacted bare spots be too aggressive, or should I hollow tine aerate to amend the soil? Okay, so spiked aeration, I mean, it's better than not doing anything, but I like hollow tine aeration where you're actually removing plugs, because if you think about it, like if your soil is compacted, right? And you're removing literally like plugs of soil all throughout the lawn, you're now literally creating voids all throughout the lawn for the lawn to kind of relax into. Like if you've ever walked on a lawn that was just core aerated, it kind of feels, I don't want to say spongy, but you can tell it just feels softer. Like you can tell like the soil can kind of move around a bit, which is nice. And from a standpoint of allowing more air, water, and nutrient to enter the soil, like core aeration is going to do a better job of that than spike aeration. It's still better than nothing, but I would still lean towards core aeration if you can. I really would, Emmanuel. Next up, I'll tell you one application of the garden weasel. It would be like, say before you go out and put out fertilizer, if you want to go out and like spike aerate the lawn really quickly to kind of make it easier for the fertilizer to get it in the soil, like I could see some merits in doing that, but it doesn't replace core aeration. Like the core aeration has so many benefits that it's really worth doing on your lawn at least once per season. Hazel Apool is up next. It says, hey, Ron, great to be talking about lawn care once again. I live in Michigan. I just wanted to know, is it recommended to dethatch the lawn at the beginning of spring here in Michigan? Thanks. So you get different views on this. I am not a fan of dethatching like 99.9% of lawns. Like I don't think it's something you do every year just for the sake of it. Now, if you want to like gently turf rake the lawn to clean out like old debris and dead grass, I'm all for that. If you have a warm season lawn and you want to verticut it, I think it's a great way to thin out the lawn. Like I'm fully supportive of that. But dethatching is very aggressive. Like, I mean, you're literally like have these hooks that are literally tearing like thatch out of the lawn. And it's just, for most lawns, you're just doing more harm than good by doing that. So I personally wouldn't recommend it. A light turf rake to start the season, sure. But like going out there and actually running a dethatcher on it, most lawns just really don't need that. So I am not a fan of it. If you want to power rake it, fine. Then a light scarification, fine. But like running a dethatcher every year as a matter of practice, I wouldn't. Like a case of a lawn that would be good for dethatching. Let's say you move into a property and the lawn was neglected for years and years and years, right? So it's like maybe either it wasn't mowed or it was never core aerated. Like its lawn just was not cared for, and you can tell there's definitely a buildup of thatch in the lawn, right? So thatch is way more than say half an inch or so, which is what people consider to be a good or acceptable level of thatch. In that case, I could see there being merit for running a dethatcher on the lawn like one time, like in that case, just to kind of help get a lot of that debris out. And then going forward, you really shouldn't have to do that. If you're mowing the lawn properly, you are fertilizing it properly, like you're not over fertilizing it, then thatch buildup really shouldn't be a problem. So you shouldn't have to dethatch it every single year. So I say all that to say, no, I would not. I wouldn't, Hazel. But there's people that disagree with me on this, but I don't think that it's for most people, you're creating a whole lot of work for yourself and you're stressing the grass without not a whole lot of upside in my opinion. All right, Jay Riviera is up next. Says, hey, Ron, thanks. He says, I live in Milford, New Jersey. Was thinking about applying ammonium sulfate that I have sitting in my garage to raise the nitrogen. I also have the Earth Science fast-acting lime to raise the pH. Yeah. So here's the thing. So if you use ammonium sulfate, if memory serves me, like most ammonium sulfate is like 21% nitrogen by volume, right? And it's typically used while you can use it to fertilize the lawn. Most people that use ammonium sulfate, they will use it for fertilization, but they also tend to use it whenever you have a soil that is more alkaline, where you're trying to lower pH. So I wouldn't do an ammonium sulfate, apply ammonium sulfate, and then also apply lime, because lime is trying to raise soil pH levels, and then like an ammonium sulfate is trying to lower pH levels. So if you're looking to fertilize the lawn, I would just use a fertilizer that is not an ammonium sulfate. Because I'm guessing based on the fact that you've got the lime, you've done a soil test and that your soil is acidic and you're trying to get the levels up. So ammonium sulfate would not be my particular choice for your nitrogen source. I would use like I'll show you, like if you're trying to fertilize the lawn, I would use something like this, like Humic Max, like our 1608. If you need phosphorus, this. If you don't need phosphorus, and you're looking to maybe increase potassium levels, you could use the 12024. But any of these would be a great choice. They are not going to materially drop or lower the pH like how an ammonium sulfate will. And unlike ammonium sulfate, which is just nitrogen, this is more of a blended fertilizer, right? So you've got nitrogen, you've got some potassium in there, you've got kelp, some humic acid. In two of the fertilizers, there's also micronutrients. So it's more of a complete feeding solution versus just using ammonium sulfate, which is just 21% nitrogen. So the only time I ever tell people to do that or use an ammonium sulfate is, I guess, if you already got it and your soil is alkaline and you're looking to feed the lawn and also lower the pH, then sure, use an ammonium sulfate. But unless you have it, what I would have you do is just go out and apply a sulfur by itself to lower soil pH, and then use more of a blended fertilizer product like the ones I just showed you, because they're more complete for feeding than just nitrogen, if that makes sense. So hope that helps, Jay. I would not do ammonium sulfate and also do a lime. That's like you're kind of fighting against it. You're like, one thing is bring it down, and another thing is trying to raise it up. You're kind of fighting yourself. So don't do both. Do one, just do the lime, and do something else other than ammonium sulfate is what I would tell you. All right, Progressing Decibel is up next. He says, Ron, I did my apropodiamine right on schedule last fall, and the POA in my Bermuda is insane. He says, like I hadn't applied anything. I might switch to Spectacle Flow. Aside from your online store, Flow is getting hard to find. Is Bayer transitioning to an evolved product or something? Yeah, so a couple things. So if you're only using prodiamine as your fall pre-emergent, you're really going to want to do more than one application if you're trying to manage POA annual. Like, it's not like prodiamine is a great product, but it's not, it's as far as it could be able to control POA, it's not like spectacular. Like if you're going to use prodiamine in the fall as your pre-emergent, I've gotten like decent results if I combine prodiamine along with simazine. So like the brand name for simazine is Princep. So if you like use Princep and prodiamine, like that combination does a better job of controlling POA annua than just prodiamine by itself. And even if you do that, you're still going to want to do multiple apps. So you could do an application in like September, and then another one in November, December timeframe. And then that was going to do a pretty good job reducing the amount of POA that you're going to be dealing with in your lawn. However, nothing, again, I've tried a bunch of different types of pre-emergents, nothing approaches like what Spectacle does. Like this stuff is incredible, especially if your goal is to keep POA annua out of your lawn. Like this stuff is expensive, and it's expensive for a reason, because like I've tried a bunch of different combinations of pre-emergents for controlling POA, and nothing touches Spectacle. As far as availability, I think that Bayer is rebranding it. So it's Bayer right now, and I think the new product is going to be Enview. So Bayer's doing like a rebranding, and that's probably why there's less availability of it right now. We have some in stock, not a ton of it. We do have some, but yeah, that's probably what you're experiencing as far as finding difficulty with getting it. But yeah, I say invest in a bottle of Spectacle for the fall, because you will not regret it. I mean, it's the next best thing to Spectacle is going to be prodiamine, simazine, and an image, imazaquin. You can do a combination of those three. That will it's like poor man's Spectacle Flow. It's still not as good, but that's close to what you can get out of Spectacle. And the one negative to that combination is one, you're buying 3 herbicides. Given the cost of them now, you're not really saving, in my opinion, that much money, and it doesn't last as long as Spectacle. So just in long and short of it is just buy this. Just buy Spectacle and just be done with it. That's what I would tell you. Buy Spectacle and win. That's the solution if you don't want to have POA annua in your lawn or have a whole lot less of it in your lawn this time of year. All right, Will Covey is up next. He says, I'm looking on getting an Owlet mower. What are the differences between the Sterling, the Liberty, the Kensington, and are Owlet's premium, or Owlet's worth the premium over something like a Revolution or True Cut? Good question. So here's the thing. I'm not an expert on Owlet mowers. I have 2. And I only actually use one of them. So I've got one there, that's a Sterling, that's on the shelf, that has never seen a blade of grass. I don't even know if it works. I don't even have a battery to run it. And then I have the Evolution, which is like my Swiss Army knife for doing cultivation work on the lawn. Is it worth the premium? Man, you can't really compare. You can't really compare the Sterling or compare like the Evolution to something like a True Cut or the Revolution, because the Revolution is just it's strictly for mowing grass. And then the Evolution is it's like a Swiss Army knife. It can mow grass, you can verticut with it, you can turf rake with it, you could, heaven forbid, you could dethatch with it, you could do spike aeration with it, you could brush the lawn with it. So it's like a multi-tool for lawn care. And it's also designed at a different price point. Like I have one of them, but they're really designed for like football pitches and like professional sports fields. And the price kind of reflects that, right? Like I don't know what they cost now. Last time I looked, they'd gone up quite a bit. So, I mean, we can look here. We can look together. What does let's see, the Pro Sports Mower, what does the Evolution cost? Yeah, so there you go. So it's like 21 grand. So it's 21,000. The price literally changed while I was on here. So it's 21 grand just for the chassis. So for the 21,000, you don't even get a cutting, like you buy this, you get what you see here, and no batteries. Like it doesn't come with batteries. It doesn't even come with a cutting unit. Like you have to go buy all that separately. So if you want, you spend 21 grand, you get the mower, you get like the ability to buy other parts, right? And then you go out and you buy like, say, the 6-blade cutting cylinder, and that's like 4 grand. So you see what I mean? So it's just, you're talking about really a commercial piece of equipment that is at a price point that is way outside of like a Revolution or a True Cut. Is it worth it? Man, it's a great piece of equipment. I really love mine. It's a really, really, really good piece of equipment. But for most people, I would say no. It's for what you're gonna, unless you have a really big lawn, it's probably not worth the cost, because like between buying the mower, the cutting cartridges, batteries, you're looking at over, with the current price. I mean, I didn't pay anywhere near that for mine, but the current pricing, you're looking at over $30,000. You're doing like a car, like a decent car, right? So what I would say is, if you are looking for a mower, for the money, the Revolution is in my opinion, the best deal on the market today as far as a mower that is complete. Like you really don't have to add anything to it. It cuts really well. It's well built, well designed. And then the only thing that you now have to source is some way of doing verticutting if you decide that you want to add that to your program. And Railroad is in the works of developing one. But in the meantime, you could do like a Sunjo. You could do like some of the other smaller units for verticutting and turf raking that will hold you over. And you would come out way ahead going that approach versus buying like an Evolution. The Sterling is not a bad mower if you have a smaller lawn. This would not work on my lawn. Like it's like I couldn't even get through an entire mow on my lawn with one of those. So it's just not going to work. So that was a big reason why when I went to the Evolution, is that I didn't want to have to like stop and recharge batteries halfway through. So I can go through do the entire lawn twice on a single charge, which is great, right? That works for me. So I mean, is it worth the premium, man? Depends how much money you got. If you got plenty of cash laying around, you want a really, really like sweet rig for doing pretty much anything you want to your lawn, then yeah, I mean, go for it. If you don't really, you got the cash to go do it, then go for it. But for most people, I would say no. I would say no. All right. Next up is Jeremy Wallace. He says, "Good evening, Ron and chat. Hope everyone is super excited about the new lawn care season." I'm excited. This is 22.3 arriving tomorrow. Growth regulator arriving Monday. Celsius certainty application in May. Can't wait. Sounds like you are ready, sir. I like it. Will Covey says, "My neighbor is religious about Miramichi carbonized PN. His lawn greened up 2 weeks before mine." So wow. So subtle domination, huh? I get it. "What active ingredient is in it? It's a little out of budget to use, but I am curious for how it works." Great. So it's a good question, Will. So carbonized PN or carbonized PNG, let me bring them up so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. Let's actually do this. Carbonized PN is the soil or the non-prill version of carbonized PNG. So it looks like that. It's actually like a combination of compost, of rich compost, and biochar. So why is that important? What's the benefit of adding biochar and adding compost, or in the case of carbonized PNG, adding biochar, compost, and a microbial package to your soil, like doing this on a regular basis. So if the compost, if you think about it, like you're increasing the amount of organic material in the soil, and that's a good thing because like the thing about the soil that most people don't realize is that the bacteria that help that are like that are active are like the engine of the soil. So if you go out and you apply fertilizer, like you apply the fertilizer, you water it in, like the microbes, the bacteria has to take that fertilizer, break it down, and then they convert it into a form of a nitrate that can be taken up by the plant for use, right? So a product like carbonized PNG helps increase that microbial activity. So anything like carbonized PNG or the non-pro version or biospectrum, they are all about creating, improving the quality of the soil, like improving the quality of that engine that we don't really think about, but is like vitally important to getting a great stand of turf grass. So when you go out and you apply carbonized PNG regularly on your lawn, because you're increasing the amount of microbial activity, what tends to happen is whereas like your neighbor's lawn that may be deficient in organic material, or like your lawn which is deficient in organic material compared to your neighbor's lawn, like there's just more stimulation, there's just more going on beneath the soil, which means that your grass is going to have more nutrient available to it, and when it has more nutrient available, it's going to be able to green up sooner given the same conditions. A big benefit to it, and why I also use it every single month, is you're able to get by with using less fertilizer, because one of the big components, one of the big parts of carbonized PNG is the biochar. And the way you can think about that, it's almost like activated charcoal, right? So like charcoal, or activated charcoal is very porous, and what it does is it helps hold on to the nutrients. So whenever you apply fertilizer, like a lot of it, depending on the kind of soil you have, is lost through a process called leaching. So you apply the fertilizer, you water it in, and a small, not small, but only a small percentage of that fertilizer remains in a part of the soil profile where the grass can actually make use of it. What carbonized PNG, or the biochar that's in carbonized PNG, does is it attracts and holds onto that nutrient, and because it's in that same area of the soil profile, the first 6 inches or so, it's able to make nutrient available to the grass for longer. So you're able to apply less fertilizer, less granular inputs, and still get a great set of turf grass. Like one of the things that I commonly hear, like some of my critics and detractors often say is, Ron under fertilizes his lawn. He doesn't put enough nitrogen on his lawn. Because normally if you add up like how much nitrogen goes into my lawn every month throughout the growing season, it's around 0.7 of a pound of nitrogen. Whereas most people will tell you, like conventional wisdom, if you go on Google right now, like how much nitrogen does Bermuda grass need? It'll say 1 pound of nitrogen per month during the growing season. So by using biostimulants, I'm able to reduce the amount of nitrogen that goes into my lawn every month by 30%, which is a good thing. Like it saves money, and the grass just looks better. Like you're not really losing anything. The turf looks better. You're making better use of what's already in the soil, and you're also making better use of any fertilizer that you're applying. So it's another way or another level of improving your nutrient program. Like, can you just fertilize your lawn and get a good result? Yes, but by doing all of it, right? So watering properly, like creating really, really healthy soil. And what helps create healthy soil is a good amount of organic material. I like having biochar as part of that, having plenty of microbial activity, all of which carbonized PNG does. If you do all of that and then you're feeding the lawn properly, like the engine of the soil is just really working, and the grass has all the nutrient, all the water, all the moisture it needs to really perform well. So that's why you're seeing, and it's not just me. For case in point, it's not just your neighbor. If you want to see an example of it, if you look at my lawn, because I apply this stuff every single month, I'll show you an example. We'll get to the end of this video, and this is a really good example. So if you look here, right, because Alex does not do this every month. Alex will apply carbonized PNG at the end of, like during the growing season, but not like, he doesn't do it every month like how I do it. And if you look at his lawn, so look at Alex's lawn in the background, right? If you look there, you see the stripes that are kind of going away from us. That is Alex's lawn. The area that is dark green right there, that is my lawn. Our nutrient programs are fairly similar, but what is different between us is that I apply carbonized PNG. I use granular biostimulants like every month. My lawn gets that. And what you see is that there's a noticeable difference in how quickly my lawn is greening up compared to his. If you look at the vanity strip, you can see the same thing too. Because whenever you see the strip of grass there on the left between the sidewalk and the street, whenever I put out carbonized PNG, I do that entire area. I don't just do my little section right there. And you can see the difference between that left side, and you can see his portion right there where it doesn't get the granular biostimulants every single month. Like, that's a perfect example, because outside of that, our programs are fairly similar. But I do what your neighbor does on my lawn every month. I put out carbonized PNG. I put out a granular biostimulant, and it's reflected in how quickly my lawn greens up, how well it maintains color, how well it manages stress during like the hotter times of the year. Like, overall, there's really no benefit to it, or there's no negative to it, other than the cost, of being able of doing it. But as far as like improve, like just growing a healthy stand of turf grass, there's a tons of reason to add granular biostimulants as part of your program. So if you can afford it, great. If you can't, I mean, that's fine too. But there are noticeable benefits, and you can see it in my lawn. You see it for yourself between you and your neighbor. And so I'd say, even if your budget doesn't allow you to do it like every single month, it's definitely worth doing starting in, say, March, like early March. Start in March and then do it throughout the growing season. You're going to see benefits from doing that. So hopefully that helps, Will. You saw an example of my lawn. You're seeing it in your neighbor's lawn. And again, other folks that also use it as well report the same thing. It's not a fertilizer. So sometimes you'll have people that will buy the product and they'll say, well, yeah, I applied this and my lawn it didn't get like green in 2 or 3 days. Carbonized PNG isn't a fertilizer. It's a biostimulant. The idea behind it is to help increase the amount of organic material, which is going to improve the efficiency of your soil. It's going to just help everything that you apply in your soil to work better. So, so hopefully that helps. All right, next up is Jimmy. He says, Ron, go ahead and admit it. You're converting your front lawn to Zoysia. What's next? You're going to dig up your backyard and put a pool in? Nope. I'll tell you what, there is practically, I mean, you never say zero chance, but there's as close to, you have a better chance of me. I can't even tell you. I mean, I don't know. You have a better chance of me like ripping up my entire lawn and putting St. Augustine grass in, or I don't know, putting in artificial grass and me putting a pool in the backyard. Like, that's just not gonna happen. It's just no way. Plus, there's like a pool right up the street. I don't need a. Plus, and the thing is, pools are not a huge thing for me. I grew up in the Caribbean, so I like swimming in like the ocean is fun, but like pools, I've just never really been much of a pool person. Plus, it's another thing I have to maintain and take care of, and then when I mow the lawn, I got to worry about grass clippings getting in the pool. It's just too much headache, too much work. Next up, we have Will Covey. Says he uses Carbon Pro G, which is basically. They're both in my Miramichi Green, so it's a similar product. And Carbon Pro L, like every 2 weeks. He said the liquid is cheaper, but it doesn't work as good as the granular. Are either of these worth the money? Yes. The Carbon Pro G, in my opinion, is worth it. Much like carbonized PNG is absolutely worth it. Yes. Also because the compost that's in carbonized PNG, like that's gonna stick around for 12, 18 months or so, but the biochar doesn't really go away. Like, we'll all be dead and gone, and the biochar that's in my lawn, like 100 years from now, if assuming they don't like excavate and like dig this whole area up, will still be there, right? It just sticks along for a lot longer. So you can look at products like carbonized PNG or Carbon Pro G, like any of those kind of granular biostimulants, like Anderson's makes one, like their, what is theirs called? Humic something, whatever, but they make one as well. You can think of it as an investment in quality soil, and the biochar component of it sticks around. Like those benefits last for like years and years and years and years. Like that's a big reason to do it, not just the compost. So yes, I would say, given the choice between the two, the granular is absolutely worth it in my opinion. So, and just ask the other people. I mean, you can read the reviews on the golf course lawn store that folks have applied about it. I mean, a lot of folks have great things to say about using carbonized PNG and granular biostimulants. So I think they are worth it. I do. I mean, I get it that they're an additional cost, but they you can't lie about the results, right? Okay, let's move on because we're getting kind of long-winded here. Next up, we have Mars Beach. He says, my lawn is looking great too. I haven't even put out fertilizer and biostimulants yet. I should have some extra money in a couple of weeks and I'll buy your recommendations. Very cool. Next up, Keith Madison is up next. Let's see here. He says, good evening, Ron, enthusiast. How does your soil test compared to the Melic 3 test from UGA or any other university ag department Melic test for that matter? So it's a different method of measuring nutrients. Again, it's not my soil test. It's one that Predictive Nutrient Solutions, the folks at My Soil, do. It's a different way of measuring nutrient. The ion exchange resin methodology that they use works well. I make changes to my nutrient program based on it. Thousands of other people that use it throughout the country make changes to the nutrient program, use it, and they get great results. What I would tell you when it comes to soil testing, I forgive me if you're not a car person, and I don't really have a better example of this because this is the first thing that comes to mind. You can think of different soil tests processes as almost like the same way like a person that looks at like car dynos. And if you're not a car person, you guys are going to tune out right now, but I mean, I'll explain to you. Like a dyno, for any of you guys that aren't really into cars, if you go out and make a bunch of changes to your car to improve the performance of the engine, a dynamometer, or short for dyno, is a tool that you can use to measure horsepower and torque, right? And if you use, there are different types of dynos. You have like DynoJet, which is inertia dyno. You have some of the load sensing dynos, like Mustang dynos and some of the Australian dynos. And what you will find is if you take the same car and you run it on a DynoJet, you'll get a horsepower and torque curve. And if you take the same engine, same day, run on a different dyno, or like a load dyno, like a Mustang dyno or whatever, you will get different horsepower and torque numbers. The overall curve will be the same. So like where it makes peak power will be the same. Where it makes peak horsepower, where it makes peak torque, those like the overall curves will match, but the actual numbers will vary. So when it comes to soil testing, I like to think of it the same way. Like if you're going to go and go with an extension office for your soil testing, completely a great way to go about it. Nothing wrong with that. But what I would say is what you would not do is compare, like going back to cars, you would not go compare a Mustang dyno or to a DynoJet and say that the Mustang dyno is more accurate or the DynoJet is more accurate. They're both tools. They're both measuring the same things. They're just doing it different ways. So the only way you can really necessarily compare changes is if you have your car, you do a baseline, you add a turbo, you add whatever modifications you're going to go make, and then you measure again on the same piece of equipment. Now, when you see the deltas, you're measuring the deltas. Now you're comparing apples to apples because it was measured one way, it was measured using one methodology. You made changes, and then you measured again using the same methodology, and the deltas actually mean something. So what I would tell you is if you're going to use like an extension office, which there are some folks that do that, I would say just do that and stick with it. So like pick one and stick with it. The reason why I prefer the approach from Predictive Nutrient Solutions from My Soil is because like they do all the nutrients that to include nitrogen, and from a convenience standpoint, they save all the soil tests for you in their portal. So for example, if I were to, do I have it here? I can probably pull it up so I can log in here and actually show you. If I want to go back and look at soil tests results from like last year or 2 years ago, it's really easy to do that because they save all of them. So from that standpoint, I prefer their process and their tool. Let me see if I can log in here, see if this is working. Yeah, it is. Cool. All right. So if you look here are like soil tests from like this year, from this year, from going back to last year to 2022, 2023, other folks' soil tests that I've done. And if I want to go out and compare, like, I don't know, because I want to compare reports, right? So say I want to compare like, I don't know, this soil test and one from a couple of years ago. I have no idea this is going to look. We'll try it, right? Say compare selected samples. If I want to see how my soil is changing between, I guess from, when is this? From winter 2022 to spring 2025, I can see how the nutrient levels, the pH levels, how all those measured nutrients have changed over a period of time. Like it's easy to do this kind of comparison. So for this reason, I prefer this tool. It's just, the data is always saved. It's easy to do the comparisons. They're always updating it and adding more features. So for that reason, this is my preference. I'm not saying it's the only way to get soil test data. It's not the only way to do it. Certainly it's not. But what I would tell you is instead of getting wrapped around the axle as far as This one, this version, this way is better than this way. They all work. They can all serve the purpose of providing the data you need to make decisions as far as your nutrient program. And what I would just tell you is pick one and stick with it. That's probably the best advice that I can tell you, because I mean, thousands of people, not just me, thousands of people make use of like predictive nutrient solutions of My Soil, and they treat their lawns and make changes to the nutrient program based on the soil test data, and they get incredible results. They do. And there's people that use extension offices and they make changes to their soil based on what the extension office is telling them, and they get incredible results. So again, the different dynos, they both are measuring the data differently, but as long as you make a change, make adjustments, amendments based on the feedback, and then you measure again using the same methodology, then you can materially say, yes, I've gotten better, or I've improved this, or I've not improved this. But the whole idea of comparing one soil test to another and this one's better, this one's not accurate, it's, I mean, in my opinion, a fool's errand. It's not really worth your time, because they all, for the purpose of what they're designed to do, they all work. Okay, so moving on to Mars Beads. No, I already got past that one. Next up is Louis P. Would it be okay if I apply the entire bag of carbonized PNG on 2,000 square feet for the initial app? Yep, no problem at all with that. You can absolutely do that, Louis P. No issue at all. Will Covey is up next. He says, I've used My Soil before, but now I use Virginia Tech because it's only $10 versus $35 for the same testing, unless My Soil does something I'm unaware of about why My Soil is better. For me, the big thing is just two things. One, they a lot of times when you get a soil test from the extension offices, they won't necessarily test for all nutrients. So a lot of times nitrogen is omitted. And then also, as far as like recommendations that are appropriate for like a residential lawn, like you'll also get recommendations in a soil test that'll say, yeah, you got this going on from My Soil, and this fertilizer is a good choice to help amend what is wrong or deficient in your soil. If that's not worth it to you, then yeah, you can use like an extension office for less. But then, again, if you want to look at soil test results for over years and years, I guess unless you're going to keep all the sheets, or however, I haven't gotten one from an extension office to be able to tell you how they do it. But unless you're going to like save all the emails or have some way to overlay the data to look at it, I mean, I think the fact that you're doing a soil test, if you're really a boss, you're doing it like twice a year, that the additional $20 to $25 is worth it to me, to be able to have that stuff saved forever and to be able to easily compare it. So it just depends. I mean, again, pick one and stick with it, is what I would tell you, Will. Whichever way you decide to go, pick one and stick with it. Next up, we have the reality of the situation. It says, Ron, an armadillo has dug up a hole in my backyard. Any advice for prevention or repellents? I don't know, man. You have to look and see what people use for repelling armadillos. I am fortunate, knock on wood, I have not had that problem in my lawn, so I'm not going to be a ton of help on that one. Not sure what to do for an armadillo, other than maybe a shotgun. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure there are repellents, but I don't know. Next up, Will says, have you ever thought about going on Shark Tank with the golf course lawn store? Would be pretty cool. No, not really. I don't know. I mean, at this point too, I don't know. Do I really want like external investors? I don't know. Probably, I don't think so at this point. I don't know that there could be some benefits, but probably just also some headache too, right? So next up is John Smith. He says, thank God it's Friday. It's been raining for days in Texas. Much needed rainfall. I've ordered the micronutrients and earlier today from the store. Can't wait for the results in a couple of weeks. Very cool. Let me see what else we go to. MB says, where do you maintain your reel mower? At some point this year, I'll need to backlap. So it depends. For the Greensmaster, I will often use Jerry Pate. They are like south of Atlanta. They'll come pick it up, and they're like a Toro shop. So if you have the thing is, they'll only do Greensmasters or Toro mowers, I believe. But they will go through all of it. They'll adjust it. If the engine speed's off, they'll check it. They go through and they put it on a flat plate, make sure that the drum is level. I mean, and when they replace parts, it's all genuine Toro parts. You do pay a premium for it, but I mean, they do excellent job. Like every time I've gotten the mower back from them, it is perfect, which is what you'd expect, right? For the Revolution, you can take it to Real Rollers. They have a sharpening service now. And if you've got something else, there's other services around here that sharpen mowers, but I believe Real Rollers will do the Revolution, McLean, Trimmer, and True Cut, and obviously their mower. I don't think they do Allet reels, but I mean, for the most part, you should be able to find someone in the Atlanta area that will take care of it. Jimmy Miller says, so Caravan G followed by Headway G the next month or some other combo. Yes. So yeah, if you wanted to do, you could do Caravan G in like now in April. And then for your next fungicide application, you would do either Headway G or Pillar SC. What I would not do is Caravan G multiple months in a row because you don't need to apply insecticide like every single month. So for that reason, I would do it and then switch to like a single product, like either a strictly a fungicide product, not a combination product. Andrew Flores is up next. His first week down with the renovation. We get 2 inches of rain. Hopefully we still have seed in the ground. We'll update soon. I'm sure you are fine, Andrew. You are going to be good. Help. I'm going crazy doing research. I missed the window. Now I'm looking for the best pre-emergent to apply to my lawn. A pre-emergent applied is better than nothing. What I would say, Jonathan, is prodiamine or dimension. Tough to go wrong with either one of those. So if you go to shop in the Golf Course Lawn Store Weed Killer and our pre-emergent section for spring pre-emergent, really use any of these. But if you've got warm season grass, you didn't tell me what you have. But anyway, if you want something that works on any kind of grass, prodiamine or dimension, any of these will work well. Spectacle, I like mainly for the fall. There's people that use it in the spring too, but I prefer really only in the fall. But these will work on all grass types, warm and cool season grass. And just pick one and apply it. I mean, if you want a recommendation, dimension wouldn't be a bad choice because we are getting into the warmer part of the season. And if you have some crabgrass breaking through, dimension, even though it's a pre-emergent, has the ability to control young crabgrass. So it has a benefit that prodiamine doesn't have. So if you want a recommendation, that's what I would say for a pre-emergent in April. So hopefully that helps. Don't get paralysis analysis. It's more important to apply pre-emergent than actually worry about getting the exact right one, because they all will, for the most part, work well as long as you apply them properly and water them in. All right, Tom Haverkamp says, lots of talk about fungicide. I have ongoing issues and apply monthly, almost every month. You may require that, Tom. What I would say is this: if you're having constant disease problems, what I would look at is make sure you're not over fertilizing, make sure you're not putting like too much nitrogen in, make sure the soil is draining properly, make sure your equipment is sharp, which yours I'm pretty sure is, because your lawn always looks spectacular. And yeah, that would be it. I mean, just look at those, look at the other parts of your program and make sure you're not doing things that are creating conditions where disease can be more of a problem, because monthly fungicide really, unless you're at really lower cutting heights, you really shouldn't have to do that. Shouldn't be a thing. Then up, Tom says, if I could go back in time, I would have never missed a preventative app. Ain't that the truth, man? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something. If your lawn has a history of it, or you have like a problem you're fighting, and going like using it preventatively and just rotating them is an approach you can absolutely take. But yeah, for a residential lawn mowed at what I consider like reasonable heights, above 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, you shouldn't have to be using fungicide every single month. Shouldn't have to. Roger Lewis Sr. says, Ron, I sent you an email a few days ago. Subject line, Ron, help us course of action. I attached you pictures of the backyard. I will have to take a look, Roger. I don't remember seeing your email, but if your name in the email is what you, okay, the subject line. So I'll look and see if I can find it. I'm pretty tough that I missed an email with the subject, Ron, help, best course of action, but I'll look here after the show, see if I can dig it up. If you can, send it again, and that was to the top of my email. It make it easier for me to dig it out, to find it. All right, next up we have Josue Araya. He says, hey, Ron, I leveled last June. There are spots around the yard that have not recovered. I mowed today with my rotary and realized I was picking up some of the sand around the bare spots. Is it worth to level again if until I have a real mower? Will PGR help these thin areas thicken up? Yeah, so what's interesting is if you leveled in June, it shouldn't have taken this much time for the lawn to grow in. Now, unless you went really heavy, like if you overdid it, that could cause it to the area to struggle and the grass to take longer to fill in. But I mean, June, man, you still got plenty of season left. It shouldn't have taken that that much time. You're asking is, can you level again this year? I mean, the areas that it's grown through, yes. The area that it's not grown through, no, I wouldn't put more sand down in an area that's not growing yet. But if you're going to do that, go thin. Again, a quarter of an inch to half an inch on the high end is as much material you really want to put down at any given time whenever you're top dressing, in my opinion. Like that gets you a lot of the benefits. The grass grows through, you're not stressing it, and you know it's just a better way to go. It's better to do multiple top dressings that are light than go out there and put out an inch and a half of material and beach the entire lawn and hope that it all grows through. I just am not a fan of that that approach. You're saying, will PGR help these areas thicken up? Yes, but really what you're going to want to do is regular mowing. So believe it or not, like yes, PGR does help encourage lateral growth, but what really will help the lawn to thicken up faster is PGR combined with regular mowing. So if you're out there mowing your lawn once a week, once every 2 weeks, like that's not going to get it done. Like if you can mow it more frequently, that's going to encourage the grass to grow more, and that's going to also help it thicken up. The areas that are still thin, what I would say to look at is make sure that they're getting adequate water, that there's enough sunlight. That's a big thing, especially if it's Bermuda grass, so that it's not a shaded area, because if you have shade, that's going to be a challenge with the Bermuda lawn. What else can I tell you? That'd be it. Enough nutrient, enough water, and then make sure that it's not shaded. Those are the things that are typically the common culprits that will cause a lawn to not do its best. And then just regularly mow it, and it should come in. It's still early in the season, so when we get into April and May, the lawn should, those areas, if they're going to fill in, they should fill in by May fairly well. So hopefully that helps, Josue. Tom says, I remembered my question. Before the show ends, I am already applying PGR to slow the Bermuda, hoping this will help it come in tighter and thicker. What do you think? Possibly. What I would say is this: you don't want to let the ryegrass stick around too long. I know your lawn looks incredible. I'm not sure if I've got a picture of it here. Do I? No. I'm sure if I've got a picture nearby of your lawn, Tom. But don't get one more weekitis. Like, if you're going, here we go. If you want to have your Bermuda grass do well, once it starts greening up, which it should be like now, get rid of the ryegrass. Like, spray it out. Don't let it sit around too long. PGR is going to help, yes, but you don't want the ryegrass sticking around. Like if you get to May and you're still got ryegrass in your lawn, that's gonna stunt how quickly the Bermuda fills in and does well. So I would get rid of it sooner than later. The bad part about ryegrass is if you really want the Bermuda to do its best, you have to get rid of it when it's actually looking really good. Like now, this time of year, like we're about to, like the Masters is probably a couple of weeks out. So April is when ryegrass is, especially on a Bermuda grass overseed, is really looking like fire. And that's when Bermuda's starting to come out of dormancy. So that's really when you want to get rid of it. So it's tough for a lot of people to do that. But if you wait too long, you're gonna negatively impact how well your Bermuda does. So I would not wait too much longer if it were me. Max Allen Greenskeeper says, good luck with your Zoysia renovation. Consider Stadium if you can't find Xeon. Also, from my 7 years of managing Zoysia on a golf course, I would advise you to be gentle with the PGRs compared to Bermuda. I will take that advice, Max Allen. That's something a lot of folks have been telling me, is that you don't need to use growth regulator nearly as much. Don't have to feed it nearly as much. Don't have to mow it nearly as much. I might get bored with it because it just kind of sits there and just looks pretty, right? But I appreciate the feedback. Next up, we have Tom Hoffenkamp. He says, I want to see if the overseed with PGR benefits, but I plan to continue as a test for early growth regulator usage. Emmanuel says, do you know if Alex scalped his lawn yet this season? It still looks dormant still. Yes, he has. He has scalped it. It is greening up, but the difference in color, what you're seeing, is the differences between like our biostimulant program. That's what I would tell you, because our nutrient program is fairly close. It's mainly the granular biostimulant program differences between what I do and what he does. But his lawn has been scalped since early this month, early March. So yeah, it's been he's been good to go. He's not going to scalp it again. His lawn's been done, and the lawn that's next to him that he also mows has also been scalped. So yep, that is done. Toucan Sam is up there. He says, hey Ron, what's the application frequency of a Celiprin? I don't see it anywhere on the label. Great question. So what I'd say is you want to apply a Celiprin now, so late March, early April, and then apply it again in late summer, so in late July, August timeframe. That's the ideal time when you are in to help interrupt the cycle of like grubs this time of year, and also if you have to deal with armyworms that are in the fall. An application in late July, August is also good. So really, only twice per year for a Celiprin, now and then again in July, August is what I find produces good results. And if you apply it at the rates that I recommend, so if you're using a Celiprin SC, it's 0.2 of an ounce, 0.2 ounces per 1,000. That's going to be enough for you to do 2 applications and still stay within the annual limits of the product. And that rate does a good job controlling pretty much all the insects that are on the label. So 0.20 per 1,000 is the way to go, in my opinion. All right. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Next up is Ty Wynn. He says, I'm in North Texas and it's starting to be 70 to 80 degrees daily. Is now the time to fertilize? Yes, now is the time to fertilize, Ty. I would absolutely start doing that. Start with low nitrogen. Make sure you're mowing your grass regularly. But yes, now is a great time to begin feeding your lawn. Let's see here. Greg Lyon says, the carbonized PNG that I put out last week took a week of heavy rain and 3 15-minute waterings to break them down. There are many leftover pellets, and was curious if that was normal. Thank you. Yep, that's really normal, Greg. Normally I tell folks, every 2 to 3 weeks to where you're not really seeing it anymore, see any of them anymore. Carbonized PNG, the prill size is smaller. So compared to Essential G, you should be seeing less prill in your lawn than whenever you were using Essential G. That's something that they improved whenever they got rid of Essential G and went to carbonized PNG. They made the prill a bit smaller. All right. Let's see here. Mr. Hayes says, what's the best way to use Velocity PM to quickly get rid of Poa annua? Not worried about what the grass looks like, not a golf course. I just follow what the label says. I think it's going to tell you to apply it, and then 4 to 6 weeks later, you're going to apply it again. I don't use Velocity because I don't have cool season turf grass, but yeah, there's really good instructions on the label. And then, yeah, so here we go. And they actually, New Farm actually released they provided like an actual brochure on how to use it. So you got Velocity PM. If you go down here to our how to use section, you've got the label, but then New Farm also released this little infographic or little brochure. It says controlling Poa annua in cool season grass. It tells you the application rate to use, tells you some tips and tricks, like use like a 14-day interval, 21-day interval. It tells you to not use surfactant when you're applying it. So yeah, just follow this. I mean, in the product description, back up. Where am I? Yeah, in the product description under how to use, you've got the label and you've got the guidance from the manufacturer as far as that goes. And then I think they also have an FAQ as well, like when should it be applied, what's the best practice, like why stay, like pretty much they put a lot of work into this product, and it's also in the documentation to help you get a good result with it. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to Velocity PM, I'll link it here in the chat for you. Go to how to use. We have all of those linked there. So you should be good to go as far as getting a good result using it. I would just follow that. They put a lot of work into it, and the folks that have been using that product, we had a lot of people that got it last year, and folks, and they reported back with great results. So if you just follow that guidance, you're gonna be just fine. I would not go away from that. I would follow what the manufacturer says. Let's see here. Tom Avagap says, Ron, you are so lovely and polite to a fault. You crack me up. I mow it every now and then. I'm gonna start using that immediately as I explain my ridiculous lawn to passers-by. Yeah, but you just gotta do it like that, man. Because what I do get a laugh of is when folks stop by and they'll say, "Hey, man, what kind of grass is that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's the same kind of grass you got in your lawn." And they're like, "I want a lawn that looks just like that." And I just say, I don't think you know what you're asking for, man. It sounds good to say, but I don't think you are. I don't think you really know what you're signing up for. But it's easy to give it lip service, right? Cedric G says, Big Ron, no questions tonight, just supporting the channel. I appreciate it. And then Mr. Woody says, last week you started your PGR. Yep. Yep. So I'm testing it on the area between the swale area just earlier in the season. But then as far as the main back lawn, I'm not going to do that for a couple of weeks. I just want to take one area and test applying it a little bit earlier in the season and see how it does. I imagine it's probably not going to matter. So really waiting a couple of weeks until the time when I really should be doing it is just going to save product. But I am testing it just in a small area, the swale area between Alex and me. Sheldon M says, anyone have a plan to help me get rid of wine-like weeds in the lawn? I don't like how the wine weeds are. I'm not sure what weeds you're talking about. I would say identify the weeds, like take a picture of it and go to, you can use Google image search. They can typically do a pretty decent job as far as identifying weeds. And then once you have positively identified the weed, just go through the same thing. Like, what kind of grass do I have? I know what kind of weed it is. Now, based on that, which herbicide is labeled to control said weed. Greg Lyons says, what do you think about granular growth regulator like Governor G? I've never used any of them. I've never used any of them to be able to offer an opinion. I imagine they would work okay, but I've never used one to be able to say for sure, Greg. The thing with the liquid, why I'm such a huge fan of it versus the granular is like with granular products, what you get is convenience, right? You take the product, you put in your broadcast spreader, you put it down, water it in, or not water it in, probably in the case of Governor G, and away you go, right? But what you lose is the ability to mix a bunch of other products with it, to have tighter control over application rates that liquids give you. So whenever I'm spraying growth regulator, I will spray, like in my case, Primo, a new EZ, like the carbon kit and liquid fertilizer, they're all in the tank at the same time, and I spray them all at once, right? So I can't do that with a granular. So for that reason, there's just not really attractive to me. Like it would, like if I were to go and do a granular growth regulator, I would have to walk the entire lawn, putting that out, and then walk the entire lawn again, spraying my liquid fertilizer and everything else. So why do that when I can just use a liquid and just do it all at once, right? And again, I also have tighter control over the application rates. So for that reason, I prefer liquid. Again, I'm sure Governor G works great, but I've never actually used it, and probably never would use it because it just, I mean, you can, but why? Why not just use liquids? They are better. Michael says, Ron, I appreciate all the knowledge you provide. What are your thoughts on liquid aeration? I think that they are, while they have benefits from a standpoint of helping to increase microbial activity, they are not in this anywhere in even the same universe as core aeration. So do they have benefits? Sure. Are they a replacement for core aeration? Not a chance, not even close. So if you don't want to core aerate your lawn, I really think you should, but if you don't want to core aerate your lawn, you don't want to hire someone to core aerate your lawn, and you want to just do something, I guess it's better than nothing, but you're not getting the benefits of like liquid aeration is not a replacement for core aeration. It just isn't. This is not just, regardless of what the marketing says, it's just not. And here's how you can know why, right? It's not just Ron Henry saying this. Like, if liquid aeration were even like 50% as effective as core aeration, don't you think golf courses would do it? And other professional sports fields would do it, but they don't, right? Like, you think about it, whenever they have to go out and aerate the greens, like the greens are not playable for, a couple of days at least, and sometimes for a few weeks, depending on how aggressive they get. So if they could literally spray a product on the greens and get rid of compaction and be able to dilute the amount of thatch that's in the soil and the canopy, they would absolutely do it, but they don't because it doesn't work as well, right? Like in other words, the benefits to core aeration are not just relieving compaction. That's probably the biggest reason why these things are not the same. Like whenever you core aerate, you're opening up voids, which helps relieve compaction, which is what most people think about. But you also are making it easier for air, water, and nutrient to get into the soil, which liquid aeration does not do not nearly as good a job. Because you think about soil, there's like 4 major components to soil, right? There's air, there's air, water, minerals, like the dirt stuff that we think about, and there's the organic material. Core aeration, like materially, really improves the ability for air and water to get in the soil, which helps improve microbial activity, which helps stimulate like how well your fertilizer works, which helps with root growth. It helps with a ton of different benefits. Like, you know what? If you ever go out and core aerate your lawn, look in the holes like 3 or 4 days afterwards. You will see like little roots like sticking out there. You'll see like new root growth that's happening as a result of that. And you don't get that with liquid aeration. So are there benefits? Sure, but they are not in any way a replacement for core aeration. It's not even close. So that's my thoughts on the matter. There's people that disagree with me, but they are wrong. I mean, even university research will tell you that, that like liquid aeration, while it has benefits, it's just not, it doesn't replace core aeration. And then and the way that professional sports fields are still maintained would also help support that, because if you could replace core aeration with what's in a bottle, they absolutely would, because it's less expensive, less damage. The spiel would never really be out of use, but they don't, because it's not the same. All right, Mr. Woody says, "Hey Ron, you mentioned last week you started your bi-weekly PGR applications." No, I started. You started bi-weekly PGR applications in April. Do you pause your PGR applications during height of cut reset until the lawn reaches desired height of cut? No. So once I start using growth regulator, I don't stop until like October. So once, like for example, this little swale area that I'm doing some testing on, like that will get growth regulator until October. Whenever I start doing it on the back lawn, and the rest of the lawn, it will get growth regulator until October. It doesn't matter whether I'm verticutting the lawn, if I top dress, doesn't matter what it is. It still gets PGR every 2 weeks, along with the liquid biostimulants and fertilizer spray. It happens every 2 weeks. So I don't stop doing it. Darian Hernandez says, "Is it late for pre-emergent in Central Texas?" I mean, if the average soil temperatures, the average 5-day soil temperatures are in excess of 55 degrees, then you are outside of the ideal time to have done it. I mean, you would want to have done it before then, but should you still apply pre-emergent? Yes. Are you still going to get benefits from it? Yes. So I wouldn't say it's too late, but to answer your question, I would apply pre-emergent. If you haven't done it yet, you absolutely want to. So there's the answer to your question. It's going to be worse if you don't apply it now than if you, in other words, applying it now is better than not applying it at all season. That's probably a better way to answer your question. And then next up is Everyday Life. He says, "I'm considering to start real mowing. Is it that much more work? Because of work, I'm not sure if I'll be able to mow 3 times per week." I mean, it is more, big thing is it depends. If you are going to be maintaining your lawn at 3/4 of an inch, then you're going to need to mow it at least twice a week, right? At least twice a week. Maybe when you get into the hotter times of the year, 3 times per week. If mowing your lawn twice per week is a lot of work to you, then yeah, it's a lot of work. If that's not a big deal, then no, it's not. So it depends on you. Like, that's why I tell folks, you really got to be honest with yourself as far as how much time you really have to dedicate to this, because it is like the cost of the products isn't really the most expensive part. It's the time that it takes, and mowing is the thing that separates the appearance of a golf course lawn to what most lawns look like. And the mowing is the thing that really sets it apart. So if you can commit to real mowing, I mean, a minimum of twice per week, that's going to work pretty well. And yeah, and you can answer that question if it's too much work for you, if you have the time to do it. If you don't have the time to do it, then you don't have the time to do it. And I wouldn't necessarily get into it, because what'll happen is you'll be frustrated. If 1 week you mow it twice per week and then you go like a week and not mow it and then you go mow again, like the mower's not going to cut as well. It's just, you're going to be scalping the line. It's just not going to look as good. So you have to be really honest about how much time you have to be able to do this before you really jump into the the world of real mowing. Like there's a reason why like most residential lawns don't look like golf courses, because it's a lot of work to do that. Or I would say it's a lot. It's more work. It's more work than most people want to spend on their lawns to be able to create a lawn that looks like that. That's probably a better way of saying it. All right. Next up is Lance F. He says, good evening, Ron. What could be the reason why my soil pH is lowering after every season? I have to put down a calcitic lime. My magnesium levels are high. Could a product I use drain pH levels? Yes, a great question, Lance. So a couple things. It could be like just where the buffer pH is for your soil, like meaning where your soil just naturally wants to be, could be lower than where you're able to get it with lime applications. The fertilizers that you're using, like a lot of fertilizers will have like an acidifying effect on the soil. So that could also lower soil pH. So it could be a combination of those things. It could be the buffer pH, meaning where the soil pH just naturally wants to sit. And then also the inputs that you're putting into the soil as far as fertilizer can also influence how the soil pH moves throughout the season. So yeah, so hopefully that helps. I mean, and as far as in your case, a lime application is just something you would just do from a maintenance. I mean, around here on my my neighborhood, like pretty much every fall, like the lawn care services are putting lime out on the lawns. They do like one lime app in the throughout the year. So if your lawn needs that, just figure that every year, every other year, you're gonna have to do a lime application to get the pH back where it needs to be. It's just par for the course, just the way it works. So hopefully that helps, sir. You're not doing anything wrong, but again, it could be a combination of where your soil just naturally wants to be and, possibly the fertilizer you're using, because a lot of fertilizers will acidify the soil a bit. Oliver Rittem is up next. He says, Ron, what's up? I am sad because I think I have brown patch. Guess the fall preventative pillar SC didn't do the trick. Should I apply something now or wait it out? I would apply something now. Because remember, too, I'll give you mine, Oliver. So the fall application of Pillar SC is really for spring dead spot. For brown patch, or we call it large patch a lot of times in more season grass, you're going to want to put an application of, if you got Pillar SC, I would put it down now. I would not let it run its course, because it could absolutely get worse. So I would not do that. So if you've got something in your lawn that looks something like this, then you've probably got large patch in your lawn. Something that looks like that, then you probably got large patch, and I would absolutely apply fungicide so that it can prevent from getting worse. Then over the course of the next few weeks, it will recover. So even on cool season lawns, you have like a lawn that had some disease problems, then a couple weeks later, 3 weeks later, after headway, it looks that much better. So big thing is you are stopping the spread of the pathogen and then allowing the grass just to heal over time. So to answer your question, yes, to apply, if you think you got brown patch, large patch in your lawn, apply a fungicide. Do not wait, because the fall Pillar SC application is more for dollar spot. It's not. I'm sorry. It's more for spring dead spot, not for brown patch now. So absolutely, I would go do that like tomorrow. I would absolutely get that done. All right. Let me see here. Let's see here. Next up we have Off-Road NV. He says, good evening, Ron, sir. Best Friday night grass talk. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad it's useful for you. And then Raymond Munoz says, good evening, Ron. What's going on, Ramon? Thanks for coming to hang out. And it says, greetings from Honduras. Oh, cool. Greetings from Honduras. Excellent program. Next week, I am starting a soccer field maintenance program with Bermuda Grass. I am very happy to have found you and will be attending your course very soon. Awesome. It'll keep me posted and let me know if I can help with anything else. Josue Arias says, how often should I be watering right now? So I'm turning on my irrigation for April. So starting April, we're going to be rolling a regular watering program. I'm going to last year I did 3 times per week. This year I'm going to play with doing it twice per week and just increasing the runtime of the cycle, the irrigation for the back lawn. So we'll see how that works. I mean, 3 times per week works pretty well, but I'd like to see if I can reduce a day and just add more water, how the lawn does, just to see. How often should you be watering? It depends on how much rainfall you're getting. I mean, and if the grass is actively growing, about an inch of water per week is what you want. So if you're not getting any rain, then run your irrigation. If you are getting rain, then you don't need to run your irrigation. Again, I'm going to start mine up really next week as far as like having it run regularly. Next up is Brandon O'Connor. He says, I had some very hard packed areas in my lawn. Recently aerated to allow water and air penetration and hopefully soften it. Is there anything else to do? Should I aerate more than once per year? So you did the right thing. You core aerated, which is great. Should you aerate more than once per year? You can. Yeah, if you want to aerate a couple times per year, spring and fall, that's there's no issue with doing that, as long as you've got the time and you don't mind that getting the machine and all the work that's involved in doing it. But yeah, if you want to aerate twice per year, there's no problem at all. Is there anything else you should be doing? Not really. I mean, after aeration is a great time to fertilize, great time to apply granular biostimulants. But I mean, really what you did with the core aeration was the big thing. That's the important thing to help get rid of the compaction in your lawn. Dylan Moore says, if I apply full strength rate of dimension, how long should I wait for a second application? Love the lives, appreciate the info. You shouldn't. So here's the thing, Dylan. If you applied dimension at label rates, you should get 3 to 4 months of control out of that. So you really shouldn't have to apply it again really until getting into the fall. So what I recommend for pre-emergence for most people is do a spring application and do a fall application. There's people that like to apply pre-emergent every 3 weeks. I'm sorry, every 3 months. I don't particularly think that's strictly necessary, but I mean, in your case, if you did a full rate app, and by full rate, I guess you're saying you got to the annual limit, perhaps. In that case, you're done with dimension. You have to go to something else for your next pre-emergent app. In either case, I would not apply anything else for at least 4 months. You shouldn't have to. If you applied it at the correct rates and you watered it in, you shouldn't need to do anything else for several months. Hazel says, thanks for answering your question, Ron. What's a good turf rake to buy? A lot of folks like the Sunjo as far as one that's affordable. I can send you, Sunjo. I think Earthwise makes one that you can use, but yeah. So this guy here, Sunjo, they're like, I'll send you a link to it, and you can decide which one you want. There's a couple different companies that make them, but there's several actually. But you can that's what a lot of folks use. Like the folks in the academy that use them, they swear by it. They really like it. So here is turf rake slash scarifier. Fire. All right. Excuse my spelling. Larry Price says, gas versus electric lawn tools, your opinion. Either one can work well. I mean, battery is probably where everything's eventually going to go. Gas has the benefit, especially if you have like a larger lawn, just the consistency of it. Like you refill the mower or refill the piece of equipment, and it runs the same way until it runs out of fuel. Whereas your battery, you got to have batteries to rotate in and out. As the battery runs down, the equipment tends to run, less good. It really depends, man. I mean, I'd say what most people like, what you'll find with this is if you are an electric person and everything is electric, then folks that are in that, take that approach tend to, I think, get more benefits of the electric way of doing things than folks that do a mixture, do a blend. Like what I do is a blend. I've got one really piece of electric equipment, which is my outlet. Everything else is gas. And I don't know. I mean, the outlet's nice. It's quiet. You don't smell like fuel when you're done using it. But it is more expensive, and the batteries are more expensive. And you have to make sure whenever I'm going to go out and do a bunch of work that I've got like one set of batteries charged, another one that's in the mower, and you have to kind of go back and forth and rotate them. So I mean, it depends. Either one can work well. It just really depends on which way you want to go. I'd say that electric has a higher, in most cases, electric has a higher cost of entry, but you can argue that it's more eco-friendly. You can argue that you don't smell like fuel. You can argue the maintenance is less. So it just depends. Dalvin Larry says, "Hey Ron, let's get the season started. Let's do it, man. Absolutely." Next up is Julius Elias. He says, "When should you water in the fertilizer, even the liquid fertilizer?" So it depends on the liquid fertilizer, Julius. If you're doing like our liquid fertilizers, all of them with the exception of one, which is the Greens Plus 14 410, right? That one needs to be watered in. All of our other liquid fertilizers do not need to be watered in. They are foliar sprays, so you spray them and allow them to dry on the leaf of the plant. So those you would not water in. Granular fertilizer, within 24 to 48 hours, you want to water it in. So when it comes to liquid fertilizer, it depends on the liquid fertilizer you're using. Like 99% of the fertilizers that we carry on the golf course lawn store that are liquid do not require watering in after application. Good Man's Journey says, "Can I level my lawn weeks before seeding?" Yeah, you can. You could, but I mean, also there's benefits to doing it at the same time as seeding, or seeding at the same time as when you level the lawn, because as far as having a lot of bare dirt, compost material that will improve that seed to soil contact, like that's a great time to do that. But if you want to level a few weeks before and then seed a few weeks later, you could. But a lot of folks tend to tie the two processes together for the reasons that I just suggested. All right. Next up is Good Man's Journey. He says, "Does tenacity need to be watered in after applying, or can it stay on the turf without watering in?" Depends on how you're using it. So if you're using it as a post-emergent herbicide, like you're trying to use it to control crabgrass in your lawn, then you would not water it in. If you're using it as part of a seeding project for it to be like a mild pre-emergent for a few weeks, then you would water it in. So it depends on how you're using the product. And Toucan Sand says, "Opinions on lawn vacuums." I didn't know that lawn vacuums are a thing, so I don't really have an opinion on that one. Michael Raymond says, "You're walking a slippery slope, upping the game from 1 square foot of Zoysia. Be ready to get the back done soon. Zoysia's addicting. Welcome. Can't wait for the content." Look at you guys. See, this is how Zoysia folks are. You can be like, "Man, welcome to the club. You're finally getting some taste. You're becoming more of a developed person that you're going to Zoysia." I'm not going to do the whole thing in Zoysia, guys. It's not gonna be a thing. You can tag this live stream. I said it here first. Like the front lawn will be Zoysia. I'm not changing the whole thing to Zoysia in the near future. So there you go. Toucan Sam says, "Also, how do you keep mulch from blowing on your lawn, or do you clean it up before you mow?" I clean it up before I mow. So if any of it gets on the lawn, if it's windy, I will do like a little pre-flight check. It doesn't typically go too far on the lawn, but I will get rid of it before I mow, because you don't want to run over that stuff with your mower. And then finally, our last question of the evening is C. Brown Masonry. He says, "Hey Ron, I've seeded last season with blackjack. My lawn is greening up, but it's one area that's not greening up that's close by the house." So what you're probably experiencing, C. Brown Masonry, without even looking at it, I imagine that the area near the house is likely getting more shade, which is going to slow down how quickly the Bermuda grass greens up. So if this is the lawn and you've got the house right here, and the sun passes over like this, then this area that's really close to the house is not going to get as much sunlight as like this area. So this area is going to green up sooner than this will. Now, as we get into the time of the year when there's more, like I would say the days are longer, but there's just more sunlight, then that area that's near the house might catch up. But if it's not getting enough sunlight, it will either not green up, or even worse, it'll just be thin. So time will tell, but it sounds like the fact that it's near the house and it's probably getting less sunlight is what's causing it to be thinner and to lag behind the rest of the lawn. All right, so there's one kryptonite for Bermuda grass, and that is shade, man. It's like ice cream and mayonnaise. They just don't go together. You can't get Bermuda grass to do well in shade. Just doesn't work well. All right, and then our last question is Brian Baldino says, "Is Vigoro fertilizer good? I bought a bag from Home Depot, already did pre-emergent, had a soil test, and need fertilizer without sulfur, have low pH. I've never used it to be able to say. What I would recommend is just look at the reviews for the product online and see if how you're using it is consistent with how most people use it. And then, you can always just test it and see for yourself. But I've never actually used that product to be able to tell you how well it performs or doesn't perform. So hopefully that is useful. And on that bombshell, folks, I will cue the outro music. We went kind of late tonight, 3 hours, man. Getting longer. You can tell the season's getting going, folks. I have a lot of questions about grass, which is great, right? Great. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out tonight, to be part of the show, to participate. Hopefully you got some value out of it. We have your pre-emergent, granular fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, plant growth regulator, all the accoutrement you need to create a lawn that your neighbors are absolutely going to envy, in stock and shipping at the Golf Course Lawn Store. So feel free to check us out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Take care.